Okay. So you're like me.
Julio said he's on the way. But the bonding is still that way, and you would be surprised. Okay.
Start here.
Sure. Yeah, let's. Hello, everybody. Let's get this meeting to order. So it's, what time is it? 6:04?
Commissioner Hernandez.
Yes.
Louder than I expected. Staff will call the meeting to order because there's no chair present.
Sure. Well, I mean, technically, I was just appointed chair for temporary purposes. There's a little bit of backfeed.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Hollister Planning Commission on Thursday, September 25th, 2025. The meeting is now called to order at 6:05. Staff, could you please do roll call?
Commissioner Damian Perez,
Present.
Commissioner Julio Rodriguez,
Present.
Commissioner Peter Hernandez,
Present.
and for the record, we have Vice President,
Recording in progress.
Vice Chair Carla Torres de Luna, and Chair Stephen Belong are not present tonight.
Because these, the vice chair and the chair are not present this evening, there only need to be a selection of a pro tempo chair. And then City Attorney Thompson will review how to do that.
Sure, it's really as simple as having a discussion
amongst the commissioners present to decide amongst yourselves
who you'd like to chair this meeting.
If we're ready to make a motion on the chair selection, I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Does there have to be public comment or no?
Well, first.
No, and it's not, you don't need a vote either. You can just have an informal conversation.
I make a motion to elect Peter Hernandez as chair for tonight's quorum.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay.
So this is the portion of the agenda that, Pledge of Allegiance. Julio, would you mind?
Ready to salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we could, so this is the agenda item 4, public input for items not on the agenda. So if I could read this really quick, this is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to staff before speaking. When the commission secretary calls your name, please come to the podiums, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the commission. If you are joining us by Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you are joining us by Zoom using a cell phone, please press *9. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the commission from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. So do we have any public comment not on the agenda?
We do not have any speaker cards, no.
Okay. So for the record, I did have a gentleman that actually reached out to me who was going to speak, but it sounds like he's not here. So we'll go on to item number 5. 5.1 CUP, conditional use permit for the San Benito County Polytechnic Academy located at 365 4th Street, continued from August 28 Planning Commission meeting. May we have the staff report?
The item before you tonight is a conditional use permit for the San Benito County Polytechnic Academy Charter School. The San Benito County Polytechnic Academy Charter School is located downtown in the city's Briggs building. The location within the building that the charter school is proposing to be located in is where Gavilan College used to operate, or used to have classes. This is a charter high school, so school for high school age students. They have started operations with 70 students. Operations started with a temporary use permit. Phase 2 will increase the enrollment up to 200 students, and they anticipate that that maximum enrollment would be achieved in 2028. The school operates Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. There are some school-related events or meetings that will be held after hours, and they will have an after-school program from 3:30 to 4:45. The loading and unloading of children will take place at the rear of the building on Briggs Alley. And as you can see on the site plan on the screen, there is a stacked area. You can see it with the darker rectangles. There's a stacked loading area, which will then allow the children to exit the vehicles within the exit or enter the vehicles within that area. There will be 2 employees stationed to monitor traffic. One where you can see traffic monitor number 1, so closer to the school, and then one closer to the street to ensure that parents and guardians are dropping their children off, not loitering, or otherwise causing any traffic problems in the area. Because charter schools or high schools have the potential to create some circulation impacts, and this is in the downtown area, staff required a traffic analysis to review the proposal to make sure that there would be no circulation or other impacts to the businesses in the surrounding area. That traffic analysis was prepared by Kimley Horn, and within that, they found that there would be no impacts with implementation of the measures suggested in the traffic analysis, which is also included within your staff report. The recommended operational measures have been included as conditions of approval. They relate to, again, having the monitors, making sure that parents are not when picking up, waiting in cars, waiting for children to come and to keep steady traffic flow. There are also two minor improvements that they will need to make. One is to paint a new crosswalk in Briggs Alley, and the other is a no stopping anytime sign in the alley as well, to ensure that safe pathway for pedestrians, and then to reiterate again that parents may not park or wait in the loading area. They need to leave immediately if they don't have their children, or immediately after dropping their child off. In regards to the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is exempt from CEQA, Class 1, because it is an existing facility. Again, to further that, the circulation report identified that the charter school, in fact, will have fewer impacts on the surrounding area due to the children no longer going to the high school, but going to the charter school. And with implementation of the strategies that have been included as conditions of approval, will operate in a smooth manner in the area to reduce impacts on the surrounding businesses. In conclusion, the charter school will operate in the space formerly occupied by Gavilan College, and at max occupancy will have 200 students. The new school will provide additional learning opportunities for residents of the city, and as conditioned, trips to the proposed project will not impact the surrounding area. You do have several options before you tonight. You could adopt a resolution approving the conditional use permit with the findings and conditions included in your resolution. You can also adopt a resolution with modified findings or conditions, should you choose to make modified conditions. You can deny the project, or you could continue the item if you required additional information. Staff is recommending that you do adopt the project as proposed with the conditions in the resolution. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. So, Commission, do we have any questions, thoughts?
I do. 4 staff members is what the proposed staff limit is right now with a conditional use permit in phase 1. And for the monitoring plan and the arrival and dismissal of the school, are the teachers going to also be the monitors, or how will they be able to operate with only 4 staff members allowed?
So the monitors are only out during the pickup and drop-off times. They will have teachers as well as support staff. I do think that the charter school could better detail how they're going to staff the monitoring monitors, but they would be required to have 2 as part of their conditions of approval, and there are conditions that are specific to the monitors need to keep cars moving, make sure children are leaving the car, no loitering. So it is an important component of the project to reduce impacts on the area that 2 monitors, however they choose to employ 2 or volunteers or whatever the case may be, but that they do keep traffic moving in the area.
I have no further questions.
My understanding, it's in 2 phases, right? The first phase is 30 students or 20 or 30 students.
So the first phase is 70 students.
For
The
70.
first phase is currently operational. Because of the minor number of students and because we were waiting on the traffic analysis, we did issue a temporary use permit to allow them to start the school year, because they have to start by a certain date, or they couldn't operate this entire year. They would have lost a year, and they already had students that wanted to enroll. So they do have a temporary use permit allowing them to operate with 70 students, and that also allowed us to observe what is going on. So we've been able to review it, but right now they are in operation with 70 students.
Oh,
And then
wow.
the 200, they will slowly increase to 200 as they build out their school, and then that's not anticipated until 2028. But then it's limited, this conditional use permit limits them to 200. If they ever wanted to expand beyond 200, they have to come back before the commission.
I have no further questions. So, thank you, staff. Is there any other further before we go to public hearing? So if we can, yeah, I will now open the public hearing. What time is it? 6:15. Do we have any public comments?
I have no one online and no speaker cards.
Okay. Well, I will now close the public hearing since there was no comments. Is there any further discussion from the commission on the agenda item?
Is there a presentation from the applicant or?
No, I think this is a continuation, so technically I believe the first meeting, right, had the presentation.
It was continued before because we were not, it was noticed, but we weren't ready for hearing, but I don't see the applicant here.
I do.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, it's hard with my glasses, sorry.
okay.
Would you like to speak?
Sure. And at 6:15. 6:16.
So hi, I am Nicole Prater. I'm the Executive Director of Polytechnic Academy. I shared all of the necessary changes with our board last night.
Sorry, what was your title, ma'am?
Executive Director.
Okay, thank you.
I shared all of the changes that are required, not a problem. You know, whatever you need, we are more than happy to do. Right now, our anticipated enrollment is 70 students. We are under 70 right now. We do have several parent volunteers. It's a very active family group. So when you were referencing the monitoring, we have a plethora of parents to choose from for that. And they are also just as concerned with safety and crosswalks and, you know, with pickup and drop off. So we have not had any issues currently. It's been running very smoothly. And I don't even think we even have one student driver at this time, so.
I had a simple question. What is the demand right now for Polytechnic?
What is the demand?
Yeah, is there a lot more interest beyond the 70?
Yes, so we actually, interestingly enough, this year, we've had a lot of phone calls from parents with junior high students. So for next year, I already had a couple of parents reaching out to see if there's going to be a waiting list. I think it's been a long time coming. We have parents at Hollister Prep, and they have been waiting for charter high school, or at least a high school with that smaller setting. And so as we also become more known, because there's actually people who don't know that we exist, so as we, you know, increase advertising, there's absolutely a demand for the school.
Awesome.
How likely, let's just say, it sounds like it's not likely to exceed the 200 this year. But it very well could be. Let's just say you're still at the Briggs building, it gets prolonged, because I do know you guys have another site location. My whole thing is, I'm actually in support, so let's just say you do have to come back, let's say you have 200 students, and, you know, next year comes and people want to enroll, I would actually be in favor. What would the process be? Because I do know, I just want some flexibility on their end. I want to approve this, but do they have to go back and do a whole nother study?
They'll have to go back and do another study because the study was at 200 children.
Got it, okay.
So if they went to, I don't know, 300, 400, moved a location, whatever they did, we'll have to rerun the study again.
Okay.
It should be, let's say, hopefully a little faster, because we have the baseline information, and then
Okay.
they'd be in operation, but they would still have to come back.
Okay, I just wanted to see if we could put some flexibility in there now, but.
I'd just like to offer a little point of clarification on that as well. So the occupancy maximum is the 200 for that particular structure. So they would not be able to go over 200 in this facility, and if they were to have enrollment go higher, they would have to seek another location. So that's all been discussed and planned out with this, but for the purposes of the Briggs building, the enrollment cap will be no more than 200.
Got it, thank you for that.
I would imagine with the scaling to 200, it's going to be a process anyway, so I'm pretty sure that when the demand gets there, they'll let us know.
Are you part of a charter management organization or have sister schools that you could kind of cross ideas with on like monitoring? Because I understand parents are helping right now, but you know, you cannot enforce parents to come and do that. So Do you have any other resources or any, like, how are you, yeah, that's my first question. Are you part of a charter management organization?
No, we are an individual LEA. However, our authorizer is the San Benito County Department of Education, and they have been a great resource for us. We are also working with Hollister Prep, and as a fellow charter school in the area, so we do definitely have quite a few. Navigator has been very friendly and open about sharing and, an exchange of ideas of how to, so this is absolutely something that they could help us with.
For full transparency, I worked in public charter high schools for 8 years, so I understand opening them and growing them. So that's why I'm speaking, and I would actually like to recommend, if there's possibility, to increase for phase 1, 4 staff members to maybe 5, so they have the flexibility to add a monitor. If they are able to find that opportunity. So I don't know if the permitting would allow that.
So the conditional use permit really only caps the students, and then they can have as much staff as they need, and there's ample parking in the Briggs building right there, so that was never a concern.
Okay.
It's just the number of students, because then 200 students is, probably, let's say 175 cars or 170 cars. It's the students that we're capping, not the employees as part of the conditional use permit.
Well, I will also qualify that a little bit as well, because the building size, square footage, et cetera, is what caps the occupancy for the building. There's also a city office, the code enforcement police substation is there. That counts towards the overall occupancy as well. So it's my understanding that the full occupancy allowed to the school is 200 students and up to, I believe, 17 staff members. So they do have a lot of flexibility to add in the additional staff that they would need to support those 200 students and the traffic plans, et cetera.
And right now, phase 1 is really dictating how many students and staff members because of the allowable square footage. In phase 2, we will be increasing the number of restrooms. So therefore, that's part of what's keeping us limited for staff and students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So no further comment. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's 6:23, so unless anybody else wants to speak, I will close the hearing. I'm not a big fan of using gavels. These things are loud. So if I can get a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to adopt conditional use permit 2025-4, agenda item 5.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On to item 5.2, master sign plan for 1901 Llano Way, Polar Services. May we have the staff report, please?
1901 Lana Way is located within an existing industrial zoning district. A building was recently approved for 1901 Lana Way, and so it will be new construction. It is surrounded by other industrial properties. The applicant is proposing 2 signs, and because the project includes a monument sign, our zoning ordinance requires that they receive approval of their signage from the Planning Commission. So there'll be 2 signs, one wall sign noted by the number 2 on the diagram, and then one monument sign located in the landscape planner along Lana Way, noted with the number 1. The wall sign is located above the front entry. It meets the size requirements of the code and is well centered in the wall area. And the monument sign is again located along Lana Way and meets the size requirements of the zoning ordinance. Staff is recommending approval of the signs as proposed. You do have your usual options, but we are recommending approval of the signs as they are consistent with the zoning ordinance requirements.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission? I mean, it's pretty basic, right? It's just,
I just have one question. Nothing really that pertains to this, but how long did this whole process take for the applicant to get the sign and everything checked?
So because it requires planning commission and because we have to notice it, it does take quite a bit of time because there's the noticing timelines. And then obviously we have to have an available meeting. That is what drives the longer process on this. As we are moving through and we have phase 3 of our zoning ordinance amendments starting up soon, staff is recommending that this process be changed. Most cities for low monument signs do not require planning commission review. They just have to meet the size requirements and they're done at staff level. But then for a taller sign, let's say, like the Starbucks sign or those sorts of signs where they're very tall, then they would
Right.
require planning commission review approval. But it is difficult, or it's cumbersome for business owners to go through this process.
Okay.
So what was the turnaround, if you don't mind me asking, from the time they applied for the updated sign?
I think it was maybe 70 days. Part of the problem was I didn't have the proper signatures on their application, so that delayed us a little, and then it does get routed to all of our departments. So that's 2 weeks, and then once they were ready to go to get to the available meeting, then lagged them, because they had missed the last meeting, because they missed the noticing deadline, so then they got pushed to this meeting, so it was another 45 days, let's say, timing-wise, yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason that probe this question, we have, other applicants and, I'll just be, other businesses I've reached out, stuff like that, asking for how we can improve time. So this will obviously be a conversation that I think we'll have more in the future, but just so the record could reflect that we've had this conversation. But no further questions.
Okay, so if we have no further questions, can I get a motion on this item? Oh, sorry. Public comment. If anybody has any thoughts or questions, you get 3 minutes to speak. Doesn't sound like it.
Check the Zoom.
Anything online?
I have no speaker cards and no one online, and just for the record, calling public comment open at 6:28.
6:28. So if there's nothing further from the commission, can I get a motion?
Yeah,
We need to
motion.
close public comment, sorry.
Oh. I didn't know it was like a public hearing. Okay. So public comment closed officially. If I can get a motion on this item, please.
Motion to adopt option 1 for item 5.2, adopt a resolution approving MSP 2025-2, subject to findings and conditions of approval contained in the draft resolution.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Aye.
Okay, now to item 5.3. Well, this was a public hearing too. 89 3rd Street Architectural Review. I believe this is the property at the corner,
3rd Street in McRae.
3rd and McRae, correct. Okay. So if we can have the staff report.
You have to point it this way.
Oh, still shows, there we go. Good evening. So the project before you is the proposed ganado feed and agricultural supply retailer. It's a Site and Architectural Review 2025-6. So the project is proposed for 89 3rd Street. It's located at the corner of 3rd Street and McRae Street. To the north, you've got high-density residential. To the east is general commercial, it's the Lucky Shopping Center. To the west and to the south, you have mixed use with various commercial uses. So the project proposes to develop the property, as I said, for agricultural feed and supply retailer. Various improvements will be made to the project. There's 3 existing buildings on the property. The project proposes to improve all 3 buildings. The buildings will be refinished in paint. Lighting will be installed, various hanging and wall-mounted lighting. There will also be a canopy for outdoor feed and supply storage. There will be the development of an internal pedestrian pathway installation of landscaping, and then parking improvements, including regrading of the existing surface, striping, and the installation of an EV charger. So what you see is the site plan. You'll see that there's two buildings along McCrae Street. At the corner of 3rd and McCrae is a proposed warehouse for supply storage. And then the building to the south is the retail building. The retail building is 1,728 square feet. The warehouse is 1,137. And then just west of the warehouse is an office and bathroom. The square footage of the buildings isn't going to change. It's just the exterior improvements that I mentioned, and then interior renovations. The parking is located in the interior of the project site. Circulation with ingress and egress will be off of 3rd. For deliveries, ingress will be off of 3rd, and then exit out onto McCrae towards the south end of the property. Quick note, between the two buildings on McCrae, that's the proposed site for the canopy for outdoor equipment storage. And then there's also a 3-way stream trash enclosure. So the project does propose landscaping. Landscaping is proposed along McCrae and then along 3rd. Landscaping along 3rd is along the property line, just within side. And then along McCrae, there's various trees and shrubs proposed for the parkway strip that currently exist. All trees and plants are from the city's approved tree list. They align with the tree policy. All the plants were chosen based on their hydrozone. They're all drought tolerant and appropriate for this use. So I'm going to show you the different elevations. This is from 3rd Street. This is the north elevation, looking at that face of the buildings. This is the warehouse storage building I had mentioned. It'll refinish with paint, and then you can see the exterior lighting, and then the company's branded logo. There's also a barnwood style fence, 6 feet tall, with a gate for the primary access to the parking lot. You can also see the office and bathroom behind that barnwood fence. The fence also provides adequate screening for the project site. The other elevation that you're seeing is the north-facing side of the retail sales building, and you can see the canopy proposed in front of it. This is the south-facing elevation. You'll see the south elevation. The smaller building is the office and bathroom. And then the building on the upper right, that is the south-facing side of the retail sales building with access from a loading dock. And then the other side of that same building showing the canopy. This is the view from McCrae Street. You can see the 3 buildings. Quick note, I'll get to the next elevation, but so this one you'll see there's a proposed screening fence on the loading dock to the left, and then the retail sales building next to that. You'll see the outdoor canopy between both buildings and the warehouse off to the right. Quick note, there was a discrepancy in the elevations. So you'll see that this canopy shows that there's no wall, where this shows that there's a complete wall. This is what it'll look like with no wall. This is the interior view, looking out onto McCrae, and you'll see that the project proposes a ramp up to the loading dock, various lighting, and then the pathway that runs along up to the loading dock, up the ramp to the loading dock. So the property is designated as mixed-use commercial and residential within the general plan. Category applies to commercial activity, including professional offices and neighborhood retail and shopping. And the project meets that designation because it provides ease of access for neighborhood-oriented retail. So while the project is largely compliant with the general plan and zoning code, it does propose to resurface surface the existing parking lot with the Class 2 AB material. And it's a combination of gravel rock and gravel dust, kind of a powder-like form. And that can be seen on sheets C1 through C3 of the plan set. Here is kind of gives you an idea of where the Class 2 AB is. I've circled in red where it notes Class 2 AB, but it's pretty much the entire surface of the parcel. So while while it is in compliance with the general plan and parts of the zoning, the municipal code section 1718-110 surfacing requires that all off-street parking lots shall be surfaced with 4 inches of Portland cement concrete or 2 inches of asphaltic concrete or oil surfacing placed on 4 inches of suitable base and built to a thickness which meets city street standards, subject to the approval of director or city engineer. Additionally, the material doesn't meet section 1716-140, which basically says all new development and redevelopment, post-construction drainage improvements shall be designed in accordance with the requirements of the California Regional Water Quality Control Board of the Central Coast region, subject to this resolution. And I'm going to hand it off to Marco with engineering to discuss further.
Good evening, Commissioners. So my name is Marco Martinez. I'm one of the engineers here for the city. I'll be elaborating a little bit more on the Class 2AB material that's being proposed. So Class 2AB, it's categorized as a macadam surface according to the State Regional Water Quality Control Board. It's an impervious surface which impedes natural infiltration of stormwater. The material clearly doesn't comply with the requirements outlined in the city's municipal code, section 1716-140, which indicates all new development and redevelopment post-construction drainage improvements shall be designed in accordance with the requirements of the California Regional Water Quality Control Board. The State Water Board has a resolution in place, as mentioned by my colleague Brendan, Resolution R3 2013, which indicates the permittee shall apply for post-construction requirements from moving from March 6, 2014 and on to all applicable regulated projects that require approvals and permits issued in the permitting's planning, building, or other comparable authority. As proposed, the project seeks to redevelop and replace greater than a 2,500 square foot area. In this instance, it's the parking lot. As such, the applicant needs to comply with, the State Water Board requirements. The applicant was also provided the city's requirements for the surfacing materials and stormwater control requirements as part of the city's comment letters that we provided on June 4th, 2025 and August 22nd, 2025. The applicant provided an insufficient response to the engineering division on August 7th, 2025, along with the plan set that is attached, which doesn't provide the surface materials and the required post-construction requirement information to ensure the project was compliant with the city's requirements. Upon receipt of the August 22nd comments letter, to the engineering division, and the August 27, 2025 notice of completeness determination letter from the planning division. The applicant and their engineering team determined to not address the city's requirements, and in response to the latest round of comments, requested that the project be brought forward to the planning commission for recommendation or denial. The resurfacing must be shown on the plans, and the preliminary stormwater post-construction stormwater requirements information shall be submitted to the city's engineering department for an adequate review, and ensure that the ultimate design will meet the city's requirements, standards, prior to recommending the approval of the project to the commission. The requirement cannot be conditioned on the project because the change may require additional modifications to the site plan in order to meet all requirements and standards. For this reason, staff is recommending the denial of the project per the applicant's request rather than recommending approval with a condition of approval calling for the amendments to be made at a later date. This is one of the main outstanding items that is unaddressed in the that is leading the city, our city staff to recommend denial. If the applicant were to revise their plans to address the engineering's comments, staff would recommend approval of the project. So if Planning Commission decides to grant approval as proposed with this Class 2AB surface parking lot, the project will be in clear violation of the city's municipal code and the state water resources requirements. As such, the city could face hefty citations for failure to enforce these post-construction stormwater requirements to the redevelopment of the site. Additionally, having a Class 2AB parking lot will also cause dirt in powder-like form and rocks to be tracked onto 3rd Street, which was recently paved with the city's 2024 pavement rehabilitation project. It makes no sense why the city should provide an exception to this site for the Class 2AB parking lot. If an exception is granted, the city will need to use taxpayer dollars to clear up any stormwater violations and continuously clean up any dirt tracking on a freshly paved street. The solution our engineering department proposes is for the project to have a paved parking lot as required by the municipal code and for the site to comply with the post-construction stormwater requirements.
Thank you. Commission, do you have any questions or thoughts?
Not done yet. We got a few more slides.
Oh, you're still going?
Yeah.
All right.
We can just close it up.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so the project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15301, as it's an existing facility. Proposed project, it's been evaluated and it's consistent with other projects within its class. It consists of operation, repair, maintenance of an existing facility. And again, it's consistent with other Class 1 projects. Additionally, projects which are denied or are statutorily exempt are exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15270. And so, in conclusion, the proposed project does not comply with the requirements of Section 1718.110 of surfacing. It also doesn't comply with Section 1716.140 stormwater management. And responses to the latest notice of completeness determination were insufficient to deem the project as complete. And the applicant had requested the project be brought forth to the Planning Commission as a recommendation of denial. So you've got a couple options in front of you. You can, one, adopt a resolution denying site and architectural review 2025-6, subject to the findings contained in the draft resolution. You can adopt a resolution approving site and architectural review 2022-6, subject to the findings and conditions of approval as identified by the Planning Commission. You can continue the hearing, directing the applicant to revise the plans to address staff's recommendations and comments, to return for a decision before the Planning Commission at a later date, or continue the hearing and direct staff to provide additional information or clarification if needed. Staff recommends either option 1 or option 3. And now that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Commission, any thoughts or questions?
So it sounds like this ordinance is predicated on the California, I'm sorry, stormwater, or what agency, what state agency triggered the city municipal code?
Sure. There's two. There's the, hold on, I have to go back to my notes. So there's the surfacing code, which is section 1718-110Q, and that requires the surfacing of all off-street parking be Portland cement, concrete, or asphaltic material. And then there was the resolution under section 1716-140. And that relates to the resolution from the Regional Water Quality Control Board of the Central Coast.
Right now, what is currently, what business is currently being operated on that site?
It's a semi-developed property. There's a stereo installation company that's operating out of the proposed warehouse building. So that building that faces 3rd Street.
Okay, so currently there's a business already operating on that site, correct?
Just from that one building, yeah.
But that property in general, just to be clear, also has a recycling center, correct?
It's a separate parcel. Yeah. So
Agreed, but it's technically the same gravel.
I suppose. I don't know what kind of surface is on the
The
other.
same surface.
Okay.
Yeah, the other property.
I just, looking at the architectural plans, I'm looking at it, it almost seems like a beautification of our city. Because not to throw aspersions at the current, but I'll just be honest, it looks like an upgrade from what is going to currently, and that's subjective, but it looks like an upgrade.
Sure.
So, I just want to be transparent. I did meet with the applicant. I did talk to the applicant, and I know that this is a huge financial constraint on the applicant. And my whole thing is it almost seems like by trying to make it better, it's going to cost the applicant more money. And I understand that going forward, the city, we do have to, and the county as well, we have to start setting the standard here. But it almost seems like right now, we really have nothing there.
Can we, if I may, Commissioner, can we focus on the questions a bit, just so that because we want to give the opportunity for presentation from the applicant.
Absolutely, sorry. But anyways, those are my questions. It sounds like, yeah.
I have a question. When was the preliminary hearing for this project held with the applicant?
Preliminary meeting was, I think, back in January.
Back in January?
Yeah.
And was that always the interpretation of this requirement, or did it change with subsequent updates?
Always the interpretation.
Okay.
So how long has this process, when did this process start?
Preliminary meeting was, I believe, in January. Submittal for the SNA, I think, March. I'd have to look back.
So this year?
Right, was it March? Yeah, March of this year.
Okay. I'll have further questions, but I wanted to give the opportunity, unless you have any other questions, for the applicant to give their presentation.
My name is Zaira Bassinez. I am from Ganado Feed and Pet Supplies.
I'm Cesar Vasanias. I'm with SAME. We're both owners.
We began the process we first leased the property, and our initial plan was just to kind of go in, paint it, fix it, and start operating back in 2023. And then we had something else come up and we had to push the project a bit. When we realized how much work it actually needed, we reached out to the owner and we said, this is going to be a huge financial investment for us, so would you consider selling us the property so we're not fixing it up for you and be in our current situation we are in San Jose where we're just investing in a property that's not ours. He was kind enough to sell it to us, and we gained, I think, November 2024. So I approached the city of Hollister in January 2025, came into the office and I said, hey, I don't know what I need to do, but I'd like to go into this building. I'd like to open a feed and pet supply store. I want to do it up to code, up to everything. So where do I start? What do I do? And the instructions that I got was that I could operate right there and then, but there were certain things I needed to do. So the best option would be to go to a preliminary hearing. We got an architect, an engineering company as well, and we submitted in March, and we went to the preliminary hearing, which was here. And we proposed something similar to this, and each department made their suggestions, and one of them was engineering, and they did mention that they wanted asphalt. We at that point said here, March 14th, Marco and Brendan were present, and we said, hey, in our current business, asphalt does not work because of the weight of the trucks. It is constantly cracking. It is constantly getting like dibs and stuff.
It breaks in crocodile patterns and starts getting loose, and you have to repair it and
Repair it.
We have that problem in San Jose.
So what we found in San Jose is that we do that in the parking lot, and then the back where the trucks are and everything moves, we have base rock. One of the reasons why we picked this property was because it had existing base rock, and it would work great for the trucks. We explained that to Marco while we were here. He understood, and he said, okay, we can go ahead and do that, which is why then when I made the comments to my architect and engineer, and I said, all right, we can move forward. These were the comments. We have to add the trash thing. We have to add the EV charger, and we have to, I made all the notes that I had from the meeting.
As you see, we comply with
everything else. So I made notes. I gave the notes to the engineer and the architect, and they complied with everything on the notes. So it was surprising and disappointing to get the letter back saying that it wasn't approved because of the surface of the parking when we sat here and I was told it would be approved. And that's what it was. Each setback is not only time, but it is costly. Like every change is $5,000 for an engineer and $3,000 for an architect, not to mention fees, not to mention time, not to mention our mortgage payment. Like, I have asked to, tell me what the process is from the beginning so we could make this as speedy as possible, because we do have a burden to open. We do have to get to an opening point in order to make this work for us. The parking lot, we have explained, and we have an engineer here that can explain the more technical side. I know there's a code and all this stuff that I don't follow exactly, but we are not a new development. We are not redeveloping. We are keeping the existing site. We are fixing it. We are painting it. We are putting a store inside of it. If anything, we are, making it better.
The historical traffic use of the site is not going to change in any way or form. In fact, it will be less than it was used before as a gas station.
That's true.
The other thing is, we actually did an environmental study on the property, which made it improve. So we know there is no contamination on the property. So we have invested this whole thing.
We'd like to have it be environmentally friendly. I mean, asphalt is only going to bring heat, and it should be a climate change thing. But that's another subject.
I mean, they ask what other properties are using the same there is plenty of properties here that are not tracking tons of rocks and mud into the
Including the one
streets.
next to it.
Including
Yes.
the one next to it. So, I mean, it is,
Yes, so that's where we're at. We decided, we were told in the last meeting, getting a meeting, by the way, takes weeks, so that sets you back as well. So in the last meeting, we were told that it was not going to be approved unless we made that change, and we decided we could not go forward with it.
more than $100 and plus $1,000
Yes.
to make that requirement. I mean, it will just make the project unforeseeable. And if you guys want, I would like actually our engineer to
Yeah.
explain any all
Is
the
he here?
technical details.
Yes, he's here. Alan's here.
Thank you, Commission. Alan Andrade, project engineer. I work for MH Engineering out of Morgan Hill, but I am a Hollister resident and have lived here for 30 years. The main point that we're discussing here, no issue that engineering and staff have pointed out that city code does require asphalt paving or cement paving or oil and screen for the parking lot. They didn't mention that until August. When we got plan check comments, it was in June and then again at early August. At both times, we did respond. My responses were along the lines of the Central Coast Water Quality Control Board resolution requiring this post-construction stormwater mitigation that we're talking about. And in that, regulated projects do not include cleaning, repairing, maintaining, reshaping, or regrading drainage systems, or resurfacing with in-kind material without expanding the road or parking lot. These two items are what we're proposing doing. And at both times when we've submitted and cited this, they've insisted that it needs to be paved. That's as simple, I think, and that's all that I need to say in regard to that, but I'm here if we go on with the discussion for further clarification.
Thank you. I think this is the point where we start asking both the department and the applicant some questions, so I appreciate, does anybody have further thoughts? I know I have a lot, but I don't want to.
The first and foremost, the question, let's see. 5.3. So the preliminary was in, you said?
March 14th.
March.
The meeting.
But
I just want to make sure, but going into this, I guess the question is, going into this, you were saying, you were under the impression that you did not have to
Change.
change.
Didn't have to change.
Okay, so that was the initial impression.
Yes.
And then you're saying, then things changed.
The plan check comment in the first round was that we needed to fill out the stormwater form, which I did. And right there where it says, is it a regulated project, along those lines of context, said, no, it's not a regulated project, and that was the end of the requirements for filling out the form.
Define a regulated
Yeah.
project?
Regulated projects is a whole nother section that includes just about everything, and engineering can come and say what their take is on it, because they didn't tell it to me. They insisted on the paving and didn't want to talk about if we're not changing the existing surface, it's not a regulated project.
It's kind of what it sounds like, is any new build would probably be regulated because it's a brand new.
If it was dirt, native soil, and we were going in and putting in a hard surface, yes, it would be required to do the stormwater mitigation. This is not the situation in this project.
Okay. So, and it was mentioned, I had heard actually, that, yeah, it was sometime this year that it kind of started but from what I'm hearing from the applicant, it was actually started in '24.
That's when they purchased the property and started making plans. I met with them in December of 2024. They had the preliminary hearing in January. I was aware that this was going to be an issue. I mentioned that during the preliminary hearing, you need to hear about what's going on with this. What are they going to require you to do so we can build it into your budget?
And that was in January of '24?
January of 2025.
Oh, '25.
Then we applied. I believe our formal application was in March of 2025.
Question. And do you provide that guidance based on prior similar projects? Why
Yes.
to specifically look out for this part of the project?
Well, so I have storage on Airway Drive project that was approved, has base rock as the surface for the RV and boat storage. As long as, I'm not hearing, hey, you have to do this because this rule says it, I think that's all right.
So-
And this is, being an existing facility with this surfacing already in place, it really cemented for me that, hey, yes, if they're not saying there's an issue, we can proceed with this.
So, Mr. Andrade, I mean, the municipal code that was referenced supposedly is under this state water agency that regulates this, right, the drainage. I would imagine then it wouldn't just apply to San Benito, so, and you.
It's the
you have
entire Central Coast region that runs from northern San Benito County line all the way down to southern San Luis Obispo County.
So it's not north of us, it's south of us?
It's us and everyone south, and then there's different requirements, but they're similar in the Bay region. It all depends on which watershed you're draining to. This one drains into Monterey Bay, so they write the requirements specific to that to make sure that we're
be similar.
protecting.
So is there any other projects in the region that are consistent with what? the applicant?
Routinely, the water board is approving base rock for private driveways, parking lots. I've got, in San Martin, I've got automobile, like where all the wrecked cars get taken, that is 40 acres of base rock right next to August Creek.
So I'm curious, and I don't know if I,
Yeah, you feel free to ask staff to
But,
come up and clarify on from their end.
yeah, it sounds like it's a San Benito or Hollister interpretation.
No, not even that, because I have projects approved with base rock
Here.
recently here.
Yeah,
City manager, have you had prior experience dealing with similar applications with,
Yeah, the simple answer to that is no, I have not. My previous experience is with the city of Salinas and the county of Monterey, but it has not been extensively in this regard.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot to offer here. I understand the timelines that are being presented and the discussions of the meetings and things. A preliminary application meeting is simply to talk initially about what you envision for your project. So it is very casual at times in conversation. Some different applicants come to the table with different materials, et cetera. It's just the starting point to get everybody on the same page and kind of circle around.
okay.
Design Review Committee is the next step, where you're getting all of the departments there really commenting with comment letters and engaging in the process. A formal application is what generates that entire process.
Okay.
And gets the ball rolling.
If
So, in terms of timing and things, and I think Amber has something to add.
If I could just add, I'll add to Rod's point, but also we do have our city engineer that's available to speak to answer the question as well, if you would like to hear from him. But to go off of Rod's point, preliminary meetings can really be a standalone meeting. So meaning someone could come in January and they might decide that they're not going to move forward with their project until the following year. It's really just we want to understand what's going on, get ideas so we know how to move forward, and then submit, and that becomes a whole separate process. So that, hopefully that clarifies that, and then just let us know if you'd like to hear from the city engineer.
I would add, I would have loved to have that clarification, because that was not my understanding. You pay for preliminary, and that is, you bring your idea, yes, but it is not casual. Every single one person from each department sits here, and you propose, and you ask questions, and you say, I mean, I didn't pay $1,500 for a casual meeting. I paid for it to be, I took it seriously, so it could give me a step forward when I did submit officially, and help me save time and money. So I respectfully, I do take that casually.
So my choice of words in this
Yeah.
situation is probably poor, but the intent of a pre-application meeting is to come with an initial idea and get very initial preliminary feedback. There is nothing formal about that meeting other than who's going to take notes, and it doesn't even result in formalized notes or anything that's coming forward. We don't necessarily have a record other than the payment for that to happen.
Well,
But I would also suggest that our city engineer, Mark Falgo, does have an extensive consultation background with Monterey Bay projects, and he may be able to answer your question more thoroughly.
Yep.
I mean, if you're paying, you expect some formality.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're coming here and you're not to actually.
The applicant is given a 5-minute presentation, and then the applicant needs to answer questions for the commission, so whether or not you have an open dialogue is really up to you.
Yeah, and I prefer that, to be honest with you, City Attorney, because there's a lot to understand. I mean, just even with the clarification, which I appreciate the city manager, about the preliminary being non-formal, the fact that there's money put up front, to me, is as formal as it gets. So maybe there should be a little bit more, I think at that point, maybe even there could be recommendations from this commission to consider having a stronger level of accountability from the city side.
I just meant the way this meeting.
The dialogue format, I understand, the back and forth. I just think this is really important. I mean, one of the things that I had mentioned to the city councilman Resendez in me being appointed is I would take this position seriously. I do want to see our community prosper. We're dealing with a lot of deficits at the state and federal level. I want to see projects happen, obviously within legal code and ultimately with the expectation that things are going to be not, we're going to avoid liability. But just the same, hearing preliminary and then you're dumping $1,500 for preliminary, yeah, it's kind of a little bit consequential in the sense that I've actually seen that consistency. I'm a small business owner myself. I've spoken to many businesses. This is not an anomaly. This is actually more. It makes sense to me why I see these issues. So I want to hear more feedback because ultimately any potential amendments to our process, I think, will come from this commission or recommendations to the city council.
Right, so the public hearing is still open and still
Correct.
still the opportunity to hear from the
Yeah, so,
public. This is just the first of those.
just my final point is, if we're gonna be charging, there needs to be notes taken, there needs to be evidence of that conversation, very specific evidence. That's gonna be one of, definitely my recommendations.
So I would like to clarify, as someone that usually is in these meetings and how they work, because from a staff point of view, not to contradict, it really, for a preliminary hearing, we are charging time for the people that are at the table. So meaning, usually when we're there, we kind of call it as our DRC members. So you have everyone from the police chief, the fire chief, your planner, your engineer, sometimes the city manager is involved, so it's really a cost recovery. But with this initial meeting, calling it the preliminary meeting, we can have people that want to come in and they can have something as 99% done. And then there's other times where we have people that really just want to know, well, I'm thinking here, I'm thinking this. It's really open. And there are notes that are taken. Our planners are the ones that receive all the feedback. So everyone that is at the table that I've mentioned that's in the DRC, it is the responsibility of the person that is at that meeting to send back their notes, and then the planner puts it together and we send out a formal letter for the applicants to have. So sometimes, again, that letter, it really depends on what we're provided. So it could be helpful in the sense that they're doing the same project, or they might decide that it's something completely different, but it's informal in that we can't provide conditions on the project at that time. It's the time for a planner to say, hey, we're noticing that you're proposing XYZ, you may consider doing something different because there's a condition, or hopefully that paints more of a picture of what it is. It's really to have these like more
I understand.
Yeah.
Now, I appreciate the clarification. My point is to the informality of the city. makes sense, right? Because it's a government agency. To the business, it's an investor conversation. They're looking to put their stake in this community. They're putting money into it, so they're proving that they're serious about it. I think just the same, that $1,500 value to them is a big deal, which means there needs to be a lot more severity to what kind of information is granted. And by default, that means, because if I didn't hear till 5 months later that I was gonna now be required, which honestly, I have more questions, to put asphalt on a feed store, I've never seen it. I don't know how it would even make sense. To put it, and to a certain extent, because I'm also hearing that tracking is by default because of our waterways, right? I understand that. And there needs to be more consideration to prevent that. Then why aren't we being liable for the cannery and for which are big trucks at these recycling centers? Last I checked, they're all gravel, and they're all, so it's just, there's a lot of inconsistencies, but I heard the term new developments, so it sounds like it's more of a protection for the city, by default necessarily a negative consequence to a business. So I'm trying to understand why Hollister's not business friendly, and it's starting to make a little bit of sense.
So if I can just, and then I'll stop with trying to explain kind of the preliminary process, because at that time, it's not considered a formal submittal. So again, they're not getting conditions, and some of the, it sounds like more of what you're wanting to hear is like a more formal, this needs to happen, X, Y, Z, right? So, but that doesn't happen for us until there is a formal submittal that is made by the applicant. So I won't speak to any more about that.
I understand.
But again, the city engineer is here if you would like some more feedback about.
I would like to hear the city engineer's interpretation. Also, just for the city, it's informal, but for the business owner, it's part of their process to open the business. So I feel like there's a balance that needs to be needed, and if you have that documentation or that write-up for that meeting, and if it wasn't provided, I think that could be something that we could request. Yeah.
Mark Falgo, city engineer. Alan described it right, that if you're just doing maintenance on a parking lot and you're resurfacing with the same, then it's not a regulated project. The municipal code requirement to surface this in asphalt or concrete or oil, which oil is no longer used as a city standard, the asphalt or concrete is a change in surface, and that of a size in this project great enough to trigger the permit. That's where that's coming from. If, in my opinion, because we're not replacing buildings, if you were to forego the city municipal code on the requirements for surfacing of parking lots, then this project probably would not trigger the permit.
Okay, so can you explain to me, city engineer, how the use is going to be any different?
How the what?
How the use is going to be any different than the current tracking?
It's not the use, sir. What it is quite frankly, it's that the city is the permittee of the regional water quality control board's permit. The city is the permittee, which means that we are required to regulate all development within our community. If we decide, you know what, this isn't regulated, and this has happened to the city already, and the regional board comes out and sees it and says, hey guys, how come you didn't do something about this? Here's your notice of violation. The city gets the notice, not the applicant, not the business owner. And it's the city that has to make it right somehow, which means in this case would probably mean we can't make them build something. That horse has already left the barn. We'd have to probably build something offsite to offset this and pay the fines associated with any notice of violation. So it really behooves the city to follow the permit, because the regional board holds that hammer over every municipality in their jurisdiction, that we are the regulated body and we need to uphold the permit.
Understood. I mean, the only two thoughts is, from what I'm hearing, is there's inconsistency in that because there's other projects that already have happened.
I believe, so if those other projects that you mentioned in town that have AB parking lots, those are not being redeveloped. They're existing uses. They've been in use for a while, right? It's not like a new use has just moved in and we've let them do whatever. They're older uses. They're grandfathered in under previous uses, maybe no permit whatsoever. And so if they were to come in with an application to the city, we would apply the municipal code to their application.
What specifically triggered the they need asphalt. I just,
The permit?
yeah.
The size of the property.
No, it's not, what it is it's technically, it is building new or replacing impervious surfaces. So the city's requirement to have a concrete or an asphalt parking lot replaces that parking lot surface in a size big enough that triggers the permit. So it's the municipal code requirement to pave the parking lot.
Because
That's a replacement of an impervious
So
surface.
if you fix up the property, even if it's better for the property, you have to spend more money.
So
And you have,
see,
you're now in
What
violation.
I'm getting at is that if we pave this parking lot, then the state looks at it, right? The state could have, that permit
right.
regulates
But
it.
the guy next door, he's looking at this like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep it a dump, honestly, because it's like, look at how much it's gonna cost me. And that's the
And that-
problem.
It makes sense, because I'm seeing that with other projects, not even having to do with tracking. Touch the property, you're gonna be footed a fat bill. And, under the assumption that there's gonna be a liability, I would argue technically it's hard to prove a negative, but technically the city of Hollister has been very liable in a negative deficit because our budgets are very weak and we don't have business developments happening. And these technicalities or bureaucracies, whatever you want to call it, are big, they're a big firewall
So
to
can I-
any potential economic development.
Can I just put in out there that staff does not have the authority to override the municipal code. That's what this body's for. And that's very likely why the applicant decided to not comply with that particular comment and come to this body for, if you would, a variant type of approval. So,
Yeah.
but staff, you have to please understand that staff does everything we can to uphold the city's municipal code because that's our job.
I
Absolutely.
get it. Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more of a focus on economic development, consistent with our general plan, but I know that's not the engineer's job.
City attorney, what's the possible repercussions if, first off, possible repercussions, worst case scenario, we just say, go ahead. Second, for city manager would be, what could we put in that could insulate us from litigation or from fines? Could we give them a conditional use, a COP that says, you have 10 years to fix it up?
So I think that, I'm not going to use the microphone because
Yeah,
of
that's
that
fine.
feedback. So I think that the city engineer explained the repercussions
Okay.
with the water board,
Yeah.
which would be potential fines. And then with respect to not complying with the municipal code, and again, this body does have some discretion, you do still need to make findings as to why you're doing something different than what's in the municipal code. So those findings would be, you would find why you think that despite staff's determination that it doesn't comply, why you think that it does. Does that make
I heard the word opinion when you were discussing your decision. How is this an opinion on this interpretation if it's pretty clear? Like, when you were
could
explaining
help me on-
how you arrived at this interpretation as
Oh,
why you use the
well-
word opinion, I want to know why it's in your opinion.
What I think I said was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that if we don't make them pave it, then in my opinion, it wouldn't trigger the permit. Is that what you recall?
I believe so.
So, because we wouldn't be changing the surface, we wouldn't be adding new roofs, we wouldn't be, anything on the site would be maintenance, essentially. It wouldn't be resurfacing. It wouldn't be replacing an impervious surface. So that, it wouldn't trigger the permit.
It's-
That's how I would read
Yeah,
it.
basically, I'm hearing is, it's defaulted to the path of least resistance. Box 1, it's more liability. Box 2, it's less chance of liability. Box 2 means don't touch it, less liability. But that also means you're shutting down the project.
Well, no, sir, I don't mean that they can't do tenant improvements and paint and fix up the buildings and do all that stuff. What I mean, and they could even replace roofs if they needed to, because that's maintenance, that doesn't trigger a permit. So, it's the asphalt, it's the concrete or asphalt paving of the parking lot that triggers the permit. So what I'm saying is if this body decides that muni code doesn't need to be complied with for whatever findings you find, then I don't think that this project triggers the permit. That's what I'm saying.
But I just heard you also say that it's not the use why it triggered the permit.
It's not the use. It's literally, the permit talks about replacing or adding impervious surface. That's what it says.
So if they did everything and just didn't touch the ground, then they could do it.
Pretty much, yeah.
So then,
So if I would.
then they don't touch the ground.
So,
wouldn't have applied and I would have just done it, then it wouldn't have triggered anything?
well, you may have had a use issue from the planning department, but what I'm saying is that from an engineering standpoint and from a stormwater permit standpoint, if they don't have to pave the parking lot, then I don't think the permit's triggered.
Mr. Andrade, yeah, thank you. Thank you, City Engineer.
So, just because I think I can cut to the chase here, is I believe the city engineer has said that if we're not paving it, if we're not required to pave it, then we don't have this issue with the stormwater and with engineering that led to the recommendation of denial. What I believe is that the commission could consider making the finding that this is not a new project. It's not a use issue because we're not required to get a use permit. Notice we're here just for architectural and site approval. And you can approve that this site, as it stands with an aggregate-based parking lot and, regrading of that aggregate base, but with the same material, doesn't require the post-construction management stuff. So you can make, the findings are there, and the other findings that you need to make are already in the staff report as well. So you could move toward an approval. We just need to have you clarify and document your findings.
So I'd also like to offer maybe a suggestion, and one of the options for you is number 4 tonight, which is to direct staff to go back and get more clarification in regard to a lot of the questions that you've been asking. We can reach out to the water boards and see what allowances may be in place or what timelines might be available to the project. We can talk to them more specifically about the specifics of this project, how it exists now, bring into other pieces. I have a concern about the repaving of the road that's just happened nearby and the other roads and what these kinds of surfaces could do to that. We do have problems with unfinished lots or existing operating businesses with, substandard or loose gravel types of surfaces that can impact newly paved roads, and it's very expensive to do that infrastructure. So I would just make a suggestion that be one of your strong considerations, is to have us go back and have those conversations and give us some questions to take to them so that you can come back and make a better informed decision perhaps.
Could I say something? I would just like for you to consider when you make your decision, time and the burden, economic burden this places on a small business, with any suggestion, time and economic burden again and again.
If I were to, because I know we have other things on the agenda, and I want to respect everyone's time as well, I'll be honest, if I were to do that, I would do 2 weeks, because I want to respect their time. They've been waiting. Is that, we could do a special meeting? Is that something that is in the purview of, that we'd be able to do that? So there would be October 9th?
So the typical planning commission schedule is the second and fourth. We have the fourth Thursday of every month is your regular meeting, with an option for the second Thursday to also be a meeting date. So you could do the first or the second Thursday of next month as that meeting to come back for this.
I have a question. If it was approved with a condition to not regrade, and they want to regrade at a further point,
That's what I heard.
would that be an option? Would that be a separate project? If the project is approved tonight without the regrading portion of the project?
You mean the paving of the asphalt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it was approved without regrading, then like I said, I don't think it would be, I think we could find it's not subject to the permit, to the stormwater permit. If they did come in later and wanted to pave, then that would be subject to the permit, yeah.
Yeah,
Applicant
I'm,
understands.
that was my thought, since the city engineer already clarified, and I appreciate the clarification that technically speaking, the only thing inhibiting this project is the touching of that gravel. So approving all the rest of the project, just making sure that there is no regrading or any new grading, then I don't see how we, if anything, and that's fine, what Commissioner Rodriguez mentioned is if the city wants to look into any opinions from the water board, but outside of that, I mean, I still think that the likelihood of ambiguity is only going to increase through that avenue.
Absolutely.
I prefer what's already not liable, already what's approved, which is not repaving or regrading that floor.
Just because they're discussing, just point of context, regrading is not the issue here. It is
I was trying to find the word, but yeah, it's replacing the ground, basically.
Paving.
Right. Or paving it, because I know that you can't put any new material, correct?
Nothing new
That it's not
is
already there.
impervious, right?
That is not already there, correct?
They
So we'd
can
have to be
maintenance,
specific
they
to-
can add to it, they can redo the ground, the AB in kind, without making major
As
changes.
long as it's
that-
not a
yeah.
different material.
Right.
It can't
That
be
would
tan bark.
we'd consider that maintenance,
Correct.
and it wouldn't be trigger the permit.
So could that be the language that we include, city attorney? City attorney? Can that be the language that we include, making sure that it's the allowable material to maintain that property, but not replace with any new
They
material?
will not introduce new material. forward.
Yeah. No introduction of new material, just anything that is within the allowable maintenance.
I think it would be a finding that an AB parking lot is sufficient, that the municipal code wouldn't apply to this project, and an AB parking lot would be sufficient and appropriate for the use, or
Correct.
something of that nature. Does that make sense, Jennifer? Did you follow that, what I was trying, okay. But the question is, they have to make a finding that the municipal code requiring the parking lot to be paved isn't required for this project. So we're searching for that. So I don't know how that goes, but I threw out there that for this particular use, an AB parking lot is sufficient, or something of that nature.
Well, I mean, staff has determined that it is required, and so it's your job to determine why it's not. And
So we just clarified, city attorney, exactly as the city engineer said, we want that language that's specific to the maintenance of that property.
Then that's what you should let me know.
Yeah, so we're just asking for recommendations on language to make sure that it fits within the,
So what the planning commission has done in the past is that when you do draft a resolution different from what's included in your packet, that the staff will draft it for you and bring it back to the next meeting for your approval, to make sure that you agree with the language that's been drafted.
okay. Yeah, we just want to make sure that it passes legitimacy.
But we can't make a motion today with
Yeah, we
those
can.
amendments.
Yeah, we can.
You make a motion, staff takes notes, and then they do their best to memorialize what you said.
Oh, got
in the
it.
Resolution, and then bring it back. And last time, I believe it was on a consent item, but.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not an attorney or.
That was my
yeah, that's
point,
where we're
because
kinda-
ultimately the,
To ensure that the language in the resolution reflects your.
Yeah.
language, Because you're the ones who are.
Yeah.
well, and ultimately at that point, once the amendment happens, then it comes back, and then we go for approval. We go, it's for final approval of the language, correct?
Right, in the resolution,
In
But
the
would the project be approved today?
yes. Yeah, if I remember correctly, that's how it happened last time. We did it with, yeah, tell me.
With a vote, it passes. Yeah, it becomes approved.
And then we're just approving the minutes and the language next time.
How did the fence appeal, remember the fence appeal resolution came back for approval?
Yeah, Give me one moment to look it up, because I think we also have another question. It looks like there were several findings that need to be made. It looks like at least 6.
So there is a resolution with blanks that Brendan can go through with you, and you can make each finding, and they can write the notes and then bring back the final resolution fully drafted for your final approval.
Okay. And that will be at which meeting, to be determined? Or not, I mean, a date certain,
And I will remind you, you haven't taken public comment yet.
yeah.
Let's,
So you can make a determination tonight, unless you want to continue the hearing.
Yeah, I'd like final.
But allow for public comment and then.
Yeah, let's first go to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? So I opened up the public hearing, right? It was 7:31.
The public hearing was open prior to the applicant giving their presentation.
That's right. So if there's no further comment, then we close it, 7:31. So now it goes back to the recommended action. So if I can get a motion, and I mean, I guess we could,
And like I said, Brendan
We'll work
can
with Brandon on
walk
the
you
language.
through the required findings, and you can give your feedback, and he'll take notes. to
Okay.
draft the resolution.
well, based off of the conversation that we had, having to do with the maintenance of that ground being the amendment, to bring it back for final approval.
Yeah, there's more to it.
There's more items that we have to address.
I mean, pretty much all of them are already approved though, right? The only thing was the tracking?
No, so you need to, the way the resolution for approval is written out is that we've got different findings. It's A through F. I can go through them. They were included in the agenda
Yeah.
packet, but I can go through them. And then you guys will have to make your determination based on those findings. So if you want to pull it up so you have it in front of you, you can go ahead and do that.
Why don't you take public comment right now?
Yeah.
First review, second review.
Brendan, where it is. So public comments, yeah.
Yeah, we're done. That would be the resolution, correct?
I think it's item 2.
That has the findings?
I think so.
No, it's just the denial. Yeah.
The findings are in the staff report. So there, you said.
Yeah.
Everything was good.
I just didn't have them in the,
Right.
based on this section.
So they could approve and recommend that staff formalize it, bring it to the next meeting for them to bless the written findings.
There's not really fun, it's not,
Yeah, it's just the staff report.
sorry, I'm trying to help Brendan.
That's fine. So I don't have the findings written in the staff report. Staff report's just written as normal. So what I can do is read off the findings, and then you guys can make the determination. I don't know, Alan, if you want to speak up about the determination?
Would you like me to read the findings?
No, I'll go through
Public
them.
comment is closed, so now it's the time for the commission.
Okay.
and staff, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Clarifying
so-
question before.
Yes, please.
These findings, were they not presented in your presentation earlier, or I'm not tracking how?
Yeah, so these are the findings. So we made 2 recommendations. There's the resolution to adopt a resolution for denial, and then there's a resolution for approval. These are the ones in the resolution for approval.
Yeah, I don't, that's not in our agenda.
So.
It is in the agenda, yeah.
It is?
It's an attachment.
I think this is the first time for Brendan, so.
I'm reading the
helping out.
resolution.
Thank you.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's on the next page.
So, the resolution that staff prepared, all the findings are blank. So usually staff writes them in, whatever the case may be. The building is pretty and it meets LUC, whatever. But in this case, we have nothing, so we have to start from scratch. So I think the proposed project is consistent with the goals and policies of the general plan. You can give us a generic finding that you may have, and we'll write it down.
Yeah, it's consistent with the general plan.
Well, we got a lot more.
Okay.
So the general plan for the neighborhood, for the mixed-use commercial residential.
For the zoning is approved, that's right.
Yeah, but for the general plan, it's compliant. For, as example, as I said in the slide earlier, that it provides access to community shopping and retail to the neighboring communities.
And then number 2 could be it's consistent with the land use designation of, what?
It's a neighborhood mixed use.
Of neighborhood mixed use and that the use is a permitted use. So those two findings work?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So the second one is the harder one because that's the one where you are deviating from the municipal code. So I'll need a finding specific to that. So you're finding.
To be clear, we're not deviating.
So you're
We're,
deviating from that one requirement that we have or reinterpreting it. So what is your,
we're deeming it not
Not-
applicable to this project
We're
because.
recommending them not to trigger that
Correct.
requirement.
so the finding could be the planning commission determines that the project does not trigger the need to pave the site because the site is existing with the existing materials and there is no proposed change.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sorry, I
That's okay.
worded that so weird.
For that one.
We'll go with that though.
You said no proposed change?
No, that one, still
Oh,
not. Oh,
okay.
that goes to here. We've got two findings there.
Okay.
And then that over there. And then, still with B, your second finding could be the project is consistent with all other requirements of the Hollister Municipal Code.
Yep.
And then for C, not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of persons, the finding could be, the proposed project has been reviewed for circulation, and the city's DRC has determined that there are no impacts.
Yes.
D, Brandon will help you out with, because I don't really recall what the project looks like, but it's the architecture of the project.
So architectural considerations, including the character, scale, and quality of the design, site layout, screening of unsightly uses, lighting, building materials, colors. Colors result in the project that is harmonious with its surroundings, it's compatible with all developments in the vicinity, and complies with the applicable design guidelines and the standards adopted by the city. And so you have to determine if it's, if the architectural and the elevations that were in the presentation are compliant with the municipal code and surrounding communities.
You can make it generic if you want.
Better.
Yeah.
Ambiguity.
And then E,
Proposed project is consistent with all applicable requirements of the municipal code and applicable general plan related to landscaping and screening, including the location, type, size, water efficiency, and coverage of plant materials to ensure visual relief, adequate screening, and attractive environment.
so I think that one's easy. Brandon mentioned it in his presentation. So the landscaping complies with all the city requirements as he outlined in the staff report, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but we could just reiterate that. If you
Yeah.
Plan
It is.
from the city's list.
Yeah,
like that.
compliant with the city's tree policies.
Yeah.
And municipal code. And so, what is your determination for that?
So it sounds like we're in agreement, but I would ask for a motion, right? We
No,
are.
we're still going
You have
through
one
it.
more.
There's one more.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I think for E, we can
Yeah.
just reiterate what Brendan said in the
Yes.
staff report. Is that what you would like to do? And then F is parking, which I'm assuming it means parking.
Yes, it does.
And so we could, again, from the staff report, pull the parking of X amount of spaces meets the parking requirement of the section whatever of the municipal code, if that works.
Yes.
Thanks.
So what was the sixth one, just to make sure I'm clear? Which I thought that was the last one.
Site has been adequately designed to ensure adequate parking is served for the project.
That was six.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And now we can adopt the resolution.
So now, if there's,
Oh, really quick, just.
I was waiting for the final
Yeah,
comment.
just wanted to make a quick note that there were two typos with condition 13 and 10. With 13, the last sentence is just contradictory to the first sentence, And with 10, it says city is.
Okay. So it's
That's it. So I'll go back.
grammatical error. Okay.
So back to the recommendations.
So we're done with the findings. Now we bring it back to the commission. So what is can I get a motion for this recommendation?
I think I'm doing, I make a motion to adopt 5.3 with the staff's recommended amendments that pertain to
the findings.
To the findings that we just.
Well, they were the planning commission's findings, not staff's recommendation.
Gotcha. Okay, so I make a motion to adopt 5.3 with the amendments that pertain to the planning commission's findings.
Yeah, and then we're gonna review them next time to
Yeah.
approve it.
Okay.
With it coming back to, do we have a date certain for that next?
Well, let me second the motion. and-
Oh.
Second?
So just one final question. Yeah, if we can get a date when this is going to come back so the applicant knows. It'll be the next meeting. So in 30 days?
No, so you're approving the project.
Correct.
So the resolution will come back so that you can just review
The amendments.
to make sure that it's what you.
We want to record it.
The amended language.
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be at our next planning commission meeting. So with that said, all those in favor?
Do you want us to redo it? The motion and the second?
Did you get the motion?
Yes, we did.
Right.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item 5.4, 1070 4th Street, architectural review, density bonus. May we have the staff report, please?
Yeah, I'm back. That's my project. All right. So the project before you is Site and Architectural Review 2025-1 for 4th Street Apartments. So the project is located at 1070 4th Street. It is near the corner of Felice Drive and 4th Street. This is a site, it's a vacant lot. The project proposes a 100% affordable housing development consisting of 17 units. And the project will develop 2 apartment buildings. One is 2-story, one is 3-story. Of those buildings, it includes 7 one-bedroom units and 10 two-bedroom units, including a community room with a reception and office space. Each unit includes a deck or porch open space. There are 25 parking spaces proposed for the development, and that includes one for accessible parking, and then 3 for EV parking, including EV charging stations. Parking is accessible, or I should say the development is accessible through the adjacent Dollar General parking lot. There's also 5 parking spaces for bikes, common open space, which includes a playground, landscaping, and a 3-way stream trash enclosure. This is the site layout. So off to the south is the 3-story building that faces 4th Street. And then you've got the 2-story building just north of that, and that faces to the west. Parking is pushed behind the, towards the back of the development. And then you can see where, to the east, you can see where Dollar General is. And there's the access through the driveway approach. So access agreement. So like I said, parking is and access to development is off of Pancrati Court through the driveway approach, which is shared with Dollar General. There was an access agreement that was signed, and that was Resolution 2020-7 when the subdivision for that parcel was approved. And that gave a non-exclusive easement for access to the development. And also, the parking for the development is compliant with the general plan designation of the West Gateway zoning district because it relocates access to the property off of 4th towards the back. So the project does propose landscaping. Landscaping consists of various deciduous and evergreen trees, shrubs, and ground cover. Landscaping provides screening for the parking lot. It also provides shading. You can see the trees along 4th Street frontage and then on the west. The landscaping is compliant with the City of Hollister's tree policy, and plants are drought tolerant and are chosen based on their hydrozone and their expectation to survive. So this is the north elevation. What you're seeing is the 2-story building in the foreground and the 3-story building behind that with the playground in front of that 2-story building. Buildings are oriented to provide a level of natural surveillance, and that was one of the requirements in our municipal code. This is the south elevation. The building provides kind of variable massing. It provides, breaks up blank walls by adding elements like shutters. There's varying paint schemes. And again, those are all requirements in our in the design standards for the municipal code. This is the east elevation, and you can see the entryway to the apartments in the 2-story building. And again, this is the west elevation, shows the varying paint scheme and massing. So for this project, a density bonus was applied for. To be eligible for the density bonus, 100% of all the units in the development, including total units and density bonus units, but not including the manager's unit, but exclusive of the manager's unit, are for lower income households as defined by Health and Safety Code 50079.5. Except that 20% of the units in the development can be for moderate incomes. So there are 17 total units. 1 unit is for very low incomes, 13 is for low income, and 3 are for moderate incomes. So for the density bonus, they had, the density bonus allows for different waivers. There were waivers for open space. So the requirement for common open space is 8,018 square feet, and for private open space, 2,640 square feet based on the proposed project. For the density bonus, they're proposing 1,704 square feet for common open space and private open space at 938 square feet. Private open space would be your decks and your porches. Common open space, your parks. So per unit, that's roughly for ground level open space, so say patios, porches, that's 250 square feet. Dependent on the unit, proposed open space is anywhere from 44 to 100 square feet. For the second and third level private open space required, it would be 64 square feet, and again, depending on the unit, it's anywhere from 42 square feet to 48 square feet. There is also the availability of a parking reduction in the density bonus, and the So the required parking, based on section 1718 060, requires 30 parking spots. So for a one bedroom and a two bedroom, it would be 1.5 parking spots. That would be calculated at 30. For the density bonus reduction, this project is compliant with section 1734070. For the 7 one-bedrooms, 1 parking spot would be required, and for the 2 bedrooms, 1.5 parking spots would be required, for a total of 25 parking spaces. For the general plan, so the project is compliant with the general plan. It's in the West Gateway mixed-use designation, which it intends to foster an attractive entry point, and guides access to developments off of the primary corridor, the primary street. In this case, it directs access off of 4th onto Pion Karate Court, with the shared access through the Dollar General parking lot. This also aligns with the West Gateway Beautification Plan, which has specific guidelines for street frontages. It's also compliant with the West Gateway Mixed-Use Supplemental Design Standards, specific to multifamily residential buildings. The height it falls below, I think the height was right around 36 to 39, and I can go back to that slide if you like. But the height limit, height maximum for the West Gateway zoning district is 50 feet. It also complies with mass and scale of the facade. It avoids blank walls through color and adding elements like shutters. And again, is compliant with West Gateway as it directs traffic and access to the property project site away from 4th Street towards the back. CEQA, this project is compliant with CEQA. It's considered an infill project. Proposed project's been evaluated and determined to be consistent with other projects within the Class 32. It occurs within the city limits. It's less than 5 acres, and the site has no value for endangered habitat or species. And also approval of the project wouldn't result in significant traffic or noise, air quality impacts, water impacts, anything like that. In conclusion, the proposed project meets the requirements of the general plan and municipal code. It conforms with the Housing Accountability Act, which requires the approval of a housing project that complies with municipal code and the general plan and any other applicable plans. Staff recommends approval for the project. So Planning Commission has a couple options. First one, you can adopt a resolution to approve the project, approving site and architectural review 2025-1, and adopt a resolution approving the density bonus 2025-2. You can adopt a resolution with findings or conditions modified by the Planning Commission, and that would be both for site and architectural review 2025-1 and density bonus 2025-2. You can deny the proposed project, or you can continue the hearing and direct staff to provide more information, clarification. Staff recommends option 1 or option, that's a typo, yeah. Staff recommends option 1. I apologize. I must have pulled that from the last slides. So staff recommends option 1, adopt a resolution approving site and architectural review 2025-1 and approving the density bonus.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission?
I do. Is there a gate on that playground? Because it's right near the busy street, so I'm just wondering if there's any separation.
There is not. I believe that there's a fence that goes around that side of the property. And it's actually pushed back, so.
So the entire property will be fenced?
I believe, not in the frontage.
Alright.
There's a gate, so you can see the gate on
Yeah.
either side. And then the playground is towards the back, so it's away from the street.
Okay.
So that face is to the,
That's behind.
it's looking to San Juan Road?
That's looking from the cul-de-sac towards.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, let me go
So
back.
the, yeah, the front
There
of
you
it's
go.
facing the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, yeah. So it's behind
Got it.
the buildings.
So the fence that wraps around is on the street side?
Not on the street side. It goes on the west, and then I believe there's one on the east as well. So there's two gates on the frontage, 4th Street frontage, but there's like a fence for each individual patio, but there's not a fence going down 4th Street.
Hmm. Okay, any other questions?
Just for my recollection, I remember our first planning commission meeting was about kind of this very topic about when there's mixed use, we're redoing the code. I forgot, was that a separate meeting?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, my only, like I said, my only thing is nothing pertaining to this current project, but just the fact that it is in a mixed use and it seems like we're only getting residential. I know the applicant has that option. I just wanted clarification from staff that we are, I know city manager.
Yeah. So there was a zoning amendment that requires buildings going forward to be mixed residential and commercial.
Okay, yeah, that's my
But
only.
that hasn't been adopted yet.
Okay,
so.
that's would be my only grievance if we kept getting applications like this, because it's like, I mean, that's a perfect corridor for mixed use, and, but at the same time, we are in desperate need of affordable housing,
gonna say.
so.
I don't disagree, but it's right in between Dollar General and then all the shopping center right next to it.
Right.
Technically convenient.
And as far as the density bonus on the, less green space, it's right down the street from Calaveras, so it's really close to a public park. So I think it's the best with given the parameters. I think it's,
And I don't know if, so the applicant might be able to answer the question, but no, is there any other questions? No. So unless there's a presentation from the applicant. Doesn't that come after? Before the applicant, okay. Okay, so it's 7:58, if we can open up the public hearing.
Good evening, I'm Sonny Flores, I'm the Executive Director at Community Service Development Corporation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit operating in San Benito County only. Goal of providing low and moderate income housing to residents in San Benito County. So we only work here. We've partnered with the city in the past for rehab projects. We've partnered with the county for self-help projects. We worked with state HCD, rural USDA, partnered with Chispa on 4th Street Sunrise Senior Apartments. So we've worked in the community for a while. Going back to the mixed use question, CSDC acquired this half-acre piece of land in partnership with the Dollar General development. This was excess space that they needed, so we were able to purchase this to meet their mixed use. So that was kind of how we acquired this site. So that was the intent of the mixed use. So Dollar General was one part of it, and we were finishing the housing side of it. Yeah. And so I think that was one question. You did suggest the open space requirement. Calaveras School was one of our thoughts. I went to Calaveras School. We used to cut through that field to go to Quick Stop, get our candies after school. So really close. But that was our idea as well with the open space. And I believe we've got Paul Davis, our architect, on Zoom. If you have any technical questions, I'm sure he can answer them. We've got Ann Hall, our engineer, here for any technical questions as well. Again, it is a 100% affordable project. We did submit housing numbers for the application purposes. We do intend to do better than that. Our goal is to provide 7 senior units on the first floor, 1 bedrooms. Goal of working with Housing Authority to project-based Section 8 those units to meet the extremely low if we can. And then we went with the 10 small family units because, again, it is a tight spot. But that's kind of how we ended up with the size of the units. And moving forward, our goal would be to target more of the 50% area median income, very low income residents. Financing will determine that.
So if the 50%, I know that's always the question, is what is the median? It's like always a change in.
Yeah, so currently a family of 4 is about 66,000 for 50% area median income. So it's two minimum wage workers full-time would qualify. And rents on that are typically
66,000 total for the 4?
Yeah, maximum.
Got it.
Yeah, so if you had a single wage earner, making about $30 an hour, they would qualify. With the family of 4.
Up to 66.
Yeah, and so that's where we would like to be, ideally. So again, determining on financing if we can meet as many of those as we can.
Oh yeah, the credit application.
Yeah.
So is there a like, what does that average out to rental property-wise?
The rent amount?
Yeah.
Currently, we have units between about 1,040 and about 1,125 for 2-bedroom units. And it just depends what utilities are included.
And that's for the 700 square feet? What is the square feet?
I think it's about, the 2 bedrooms, I believe, are about 800 or so.
800.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the application process, and like I said, I know I brought this up and it's late. Anybody is, for example, the county just passed their ordinance, their local ordinance where it gives preferential treatment to people who are in San Bernardino County or within. Is there something, we don't have that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, currently we don't have a local preference. Fair Housing generally doesn't allow that. We can take a look and see if we can use the county's ordinance to meet that requirement. Again, our offices here local on San Felipe Road generally have to come into the office to apply. So it is, generally local residents. We have about 300 people on our waiting list right now for these type of units. We have at least 70 for single bedroom units, and a lot of those are seniors. So.
I mean, without putting words in the commissioner's mouth, I know last conversation, just the concern of, pushing out the locals that have been here, that don't want to, it's like we don't want to destabilize our current, the resident base, right? Because then it's a whole lot of gentrification that could potentially happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, just figuring out how to take care of the people that are in our community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, our goal is to provide housing for San Bernardino County residents. So, I think we did really good on a Riverview project out on Southside Road. All 24 home buyers were local.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a good project.
So, a big success. And I think we're about 95% local on our waiting list applications.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
So,
but there is no city attorney, there's no way to cement that from the city side? Really?
At that time, maybe they had other things.
And this was when they heard it?
I don't remember. I gave the presentation at the city council meeting, and it was maybe a year ago.
Oh, got it. So it was,
yeah.
I mean, maybe we can make a recommendation, if they would be able to consider it again. Granted that we're avoiding, because I know we're not trying to put liability.
Yeah, and if that's something that was, an ordinance, and we would definitely comply with that.
Yeah. So, any other?
No.
So thank you so much for your comments. Is there any other questions from the commissioners? Any technical questions? I know we have people on standby. If not, is there any public comment?
I don't have anyone online and no speaker cards.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, thanks to the commission and staff for all your help.
Thank you. Bringing it back. So unless there's any further comments, can I get a motion? Oh, yes, I apologize. It's 8:05. Officially close the public hearing. and then now requesting a motion for this item.
I'll make a motion to adopt 5.4, 1074th Street Site and Architectural Review, 2025-1, Density Bonus 2025-2, and adopt recommendation.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Congratulations. On to item 5.5, tentative map, Everglen 2, tentative map and 2025 and density
Maybe we didn't
bonus.
correct these.
Approval of residential subdivision at 241 North Chapel. May we have the staff report, please?
Sorry, before we start, there were two conditions that I believe needed to have
Same.
corrections to
For
them.
the last item?
It's for this item too.
Oh,
So
okay.
their standard condition, both of them had a typo. I forgot to call it out for this, project.
Oh.
So, same thing as the last slide,
Just grammatical error?
just grammatical error, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We'll
it's the
just
same thing.
put that on the record and include that amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if I can get the staff report, please.
Everglen 2 is located within the North Chapel Road Master Plan area. KB is currently under construction with their first phase of Everglen, and that's shown in the light orange tan shaded area on your screen. And then in the corner, small corner of Everglen would be tonight's project, which is at 241 Chapel Road. And right now, there is an existing single-family residence on the property, and it is a very large property, which is vacant except for the existing house. And the applicant has filed for a tentative map and a density bonus for this parcel. For the density bonus, the applicant is proposing to restrict Lot 1 to moderate income households, and that would be a for sale house, so it's not for rent. For 2025, the income limit for a family of four is $168,250 a year. The house would be required to be income restricted for 55 years, and that one house is equal to 10% of the total number of new lots on the site. And so because they're restricting that one lot to moderate income for sale, they qualify for one incentive. And they would like to use this incentive to reduce the setbacks on this site. The map before you is the tentative map. You can see the proposed new houses in the darker line type, and the existing house is in the smaller line type, or the lighter line type. As you can see, it's a very large parcel with the one existing house, and then there will be 6 new houses within that. The houses are oriented 2 on North Chapel Road, and then as 4 within the existing roadway network for Everglen. The design of the houses will be the same as the Everglen development, so it will seamlessly integrate into the existing development, which is currently under construction. With regards to CEQA, the project is consistent with the Chapel Road project EIR that was certified by the City Council. The proposed project was included within that EIR, which anticipated development of the entire master plan area, including this parcel, over the course of the life of the master plan project. The proposed project is consistent with that EIR, and all mitigation measures that are included with the certified EIR continue to apply to this project as well. In conclusion, the proposed project will provide additional dwelling units in the city. The project is located on a small infill site and will be oriented so that it is part of the overall Everglen development. And the proposed project will include a deed-restricted moderate income unit for the city, providing affordable for-sale units for the city. Staff is recommending approval as proposed. You do have your standard 4 options, which is to approve the project as proposed, to approve the project with modifications made by the Planning Commission, to deny, or to continue the item if you needed additional information or clarification.
Thank you so much. So, do we have any questions from the commission? So this is just 6 properties. Okay.
Six new homes.
So go back to the think it's page 2, I think.
On the staff report?
Um,
Or,
It's the project site where it's like a satellite view.
oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so the house right there, it's in the blue.
Mm-hmm.
That's the house that would be deed
No,
restricted.
it's lot 1, so lot 1 is, oh, my
It's a little bit catty.
It's to the far right, sorry.
Okay.
So the existing house does not count towards the total. Its existing has to remain existing the way it is now. It's a rental unit now, it'll have to remain a rental unit. And then lot 1, that brand-new house, will become the deed restricted affordable unit.
Okay, got it.
What's the square footage of the lot 1 of the house in question?
I can't remember off the top of my head, the applicant is here, he can tell you, but part of our density bonus requires that any density bonus unit is similar in size or nature to the other homes. So what we don't want is, it's a development and all the homes are 4 and 5 bedrooms, and then they propose a 2-bedroom house, or they're all 4 and 5 bedrooms and they propose a 3-bedroom house. And within this development, the model that they selected is a model that is consistent throughout the site. And actually, since they first applied, the Everglen KB has changed out approvals of larger units for this size unit. They have a mix of 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms, and this unit is the one that's selling the most in Everglen.
That whole property in Everglen, is that like low to moderate income?
So, no, so Everglen, the, let's say, orange tan color, for lack of a better description,
Yeah.
that is all market rate.
Market rate.
And then if you look at the 2 parcels above it, those are all market rate as well. Tentative maps have been approved for both of those 2 parcels before we had the inclusionary ordinance, as well as for Everglen. So none of those projects, if they ever do build within their timelines, are not required to build at affordable levels.
Hmm. But that's why these these properties are inclusionary or low, moderate income?
So for this particular parcel, they actually do not meet the number of units where it triggers our inclusionary ordinance. They are offering the moderate income unit to have a waiver of their setbacks. So if you look,
Of the 5.
so if you look at this slide, you can see that some of the corners of those houses are close to the rear property line because of let's say slanting of the parcel line. So they have a very large setback on one side, but then on the other side, that setback gets significantly reduced. And in Hollister, we require that the setback be met regardless of the shape of the lot. So some cities do like a compensating provision of a rear yard if they have an angled property line. We don't. So no matter what, they would have to meet the 20 and the 20, and they can't on those parcels with the angled. So in exchange for their moderate income unit that they are providing us, they are requesting a waiver of setbacks, and under density bonus law, they get that waiver as their incentive.
Is this project reintroduced? Because the prior one was rejected by city council, right?
So
'Cause
the
it had
prior
no-
one went to city council, and the city council ultimately denied it because it did not include any affordable units. So the applicant has reapplied with the affordable unit, requesting the waiver of setbacks.
What would, options do they have if they want to increase their affordable units from 1 to 2? Like, would they have another density bonus that they could use incentive, or they would only have 1?
So the city can't require that they provide additional under this provision.
Yeah, this is them
Yeah.
offering this.
So for any project, if someone, or if an applicant is proposing a project and they want more than one density bonus, then the number of units that they have to provide, that percentage goes up, and it's within our ordinance. It's depending on, is it very low, is it low, is it moderate, how many units they would have to provide, and then what they get is based on the percentage of affordable units, they get an increase in density, so you would get more units, and then they start asking for waivers and incentives, so they can start waiving sections in our code. So they can waive the requirement for mixed use, They can waive the requirement for development standards. They get to waive a number of requirements that the city has. In this
So-
case, they only get one.
Oh, okay. Question. So the floor plans from the neighboring development, that's also by the same developer?
Yes.
They're using the same floor plans, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So just be an extension of KB's Everglen. As you can see, and you can kind of see it in this, you see the light line type between these 4 units. It's, right now, it's just an empty space in between the Everglen development. It's a puzzle piece that refits within the development that's under construction.
And that one unit is 168,000.
That's the maximum income, yes.
level. So what does that amount to for the cost of the home?
Jamila, our housing specialist, would be better to answer that one. I'm not sure that we know.
Because I know market rate changes, that it changes all the numbers too, right?
Because the 2025 income just came out, but Jamila would know far better than I would.
Good evening, Jamila Saka, Housing Programs Coordinator. Though I will be difficult to give you a definitive answer in terms of an actual purchase price at this time, because there will be factors that will be taken into consideration. One, as we just said, is the area median income. It could potentially change by the time that this project is starting construction. Typically, that's released by the state HCD in the springtime. So yes, we just received 2025s, which is about 174, well, I forgot what your slide said, but
168.
yes, for that family size. There's also other factors that will be listed in our housing agreement that are built in within the property price, right? So it could be solar, the HOAs. Those are all taken into consideration when we're determining the sale price. And so that's another reason that, and not that I don't want to give you a definitive answer, but there's a lot of factors to take into consideration when we're looking at a for sale unit compared to maybe a rental unit. So the idea, though, is that when we work with the applicant on the housing agreement, we will decide all of those factors that are included. We will have standards based on state law, including the state density bonus law that will be placed into that. And then we will work with the applicant and we will provide a maximum price. At that point, the applicant can decide to use that maximum sale price or they can lower. But the city will be in agreement with the applicant as to what the maximum sale price will be. For instance, right now, to give an example, but it will not be the same, we do have a development with KB Homes where right now for a moderate income, the maximum sale price is about $508,000. There's different factors, though, that were listed in that sale price that will probably not be consistent with this one. So, but just to take that into consideration,
appreciate
that there is a project that will be somewhat similar, but not the exact same. So I apologize, I don't have a definitive answer, but you will see that later on at the city council level where they will be reviewing those housing agreements.
Yeah, and I just asked because I wanted to understand a little bit of, the, what is considered moderate. And I know it's a moving target, but as it compares to market rate, I understand now. Thank you.
I had a question. So when this development gets developed, when are they planning on building this affordable unit? Would this affordable unit be the last one to be built? Would this affordable unit be the first one to be built? I don't know if someone can speak onto that.
I think there's a condition of approval, but now off the top of my head, I can't.
Yeah. Because my only condition would be that this is the first one to be built. And the reason for that is because, as Commissioner Hernandez stated, the area median income is only going up, and we know it's only going to go up. And that's my only concern is I would like for it to actually be the first house to be built. And this is KB Homes, correct?
Yes. I can offer you a little bit of perspective. KB Homes is aggressively under construction for this subdivision. They've already constructed the required park. A lot of the infrastructure, they're already asking us, the city, to accept those improvements. So these corporate developers have timelines and profit margins and all of the things, and so they are in city offices all the time pursuing the necessary permits. The original project coming forward and not being approved by council was a temporary setback for them. They aggressively came forward with this proposal to try and meet it. I believe their intention is to complete this subdivision as soon as possible, and the houses are exponentially going up very rapidly. They're aware of the weather implications that are coming forward with winter and moving forward in that direction. So just some perspective of how the subdivision itself is going, and the fact that they have included 4 of these 6 units in the actual infrastructure that's already built, not off of Chapel, but on the new road. That is also a unique piece to this. Not typically, but sometimes you're seeing with these affordable units, they're often placed, they could have been placed on Chapel instead of into the integrated new subdivision. They've chosen to put this unit into the subdivision. So I would think that it would be, to the right of that, there's already a house that's planned to be built. These will be built in line with the other houses.
Well, I mean, like I said, I would like a definitive, because even, the market's forever always changing, and I would just like to know what the language.
So there are 2 conditions of approval that require the entering into the housing agreement prior to any building permit being issued for Everglen Phase 2. So that will ensure that that gets dealt with in an appropriate, let's say, timeline. Then the restrictive covenant then has to be filed on the site. I see where you're coming from. There's not a specific condition of approval that says that. I think you could add it if you wanted to. I would say don't require it as the very first lot, because the way that KB does their units is formulaic in their development I don't know how to explain it, but they select a specific floor plan and do lots within the development. But I think if you said prior to, let's say, occupancy of the second unit, or how would I word it? Let's say prior to occupancy of the third house, that this house is built and is the second house for occupancy. That gives them at least a little wiggle room where they can put this in their plan as they go around doing Everglen, because they just don't go lot by lot.
Right.
They do a lot here, they do a lot here, and a lot's over here. It's very, I don't know. I don't understand the rhyme or reason, but they do. But they do it in the same pattern every time. So I would give them at least a chance to have one unit in first.
Yeah.
If you wanted to add that as condition of approval 105.
Before the second lot gets built.
I would say, I would say before occupancy, because that allows them to start a couple and then say before that this lot number 1 has to receive occupancy as the second lot within the Everglen Phase 2 development, if that works for you. Just to give them, that would allow them to maybe pull 4 permits at the same time, but they have to at least get occupancy on lot 1 as the second house, giving them an option if one finishes first.
Okay.
And lets them.
Occupancy sounds like is what matters most anyway.
Occupancy is what allows someone, you could sell a building and you can't go in unless you have occupancy.
Yeah.
So that's where homeowners will make sure that KV is following what they need to do because they bought a house and they would like to move in, right?
I have questions about that. Would they take a loss if would they sell it at the market rate necessary to get a profit, or to honor being low income?
So
How would they honor that in a different market? Is there any conditions for that?
So they have to, their max sale price will be determined by Jamila, and it will be within their housing agreement. And so they cannot sell it for more. Even if they're selling it as a loss, they have to sell it at that price. The reason for the density bonus is, while the state wants to encourage residential dwelling units, they are offering applicants an incentive in exchange for affordable housing, because we have a need for affordable housing, and that incentive is aimed at making the entirety of the project more affordable for the developer. So by reducing these setbacks, we have another house that we otherwise couldn't have with the standard setbacks. That's a financial incentive overall. In exchange for that financial incentive, we have the affordable unit restricted at that maximum income.
I also want to share an observation. In the last project, there was homes above 2,400 square feet, 2 stories. These are significantly smaller, so I know I would have to confirm, but I do see them making efforts to kind of make this more attainable, so I do want to point that out. And it seems per the project, the plan that we received, it seems this is the 1,400 plan. So I don't know if it's the smallest of the homes, which I know they have to do what they need to do to make it viable. I just want to point that out, that they have changed significantly per my recollection, the original intent of those lots to what we're seeing today.
They were bigger before, and now they're smaller.
Everglen has what I would call smaller single-family residential units than you tend to see on very large lots, or today where a very large house goes on a small property. These tend to, in my opinion, be a much more affordable house in the way that it's designed, because they're not all 5 bedrooms. Some of the units within Everglen have an attached ADU, which can be rented out for additional income.
They come
So-
that way with an ADU?
not for
Some
these,
of them.
but for the rest of
Private
Everglen,
plans, yeah.
the rest of Everglen, or Everglen 1, does have some units with an attached ADU. So this project is smaller, single-family homes than you see, like, let's say, west of Fairview at High Grove. Those houses are a lot bigger.
But that just makes the affordability.
It does. It
aspect
makes them
and
more
possible. Yeah.
Less material, smaller
Yeah.
footprint. Any other?
No, I thank you for the, or not recommendation, but how to word my wish. I think
I think I could agree
Yeah.
with that, yeah. I mean, I think it's important to set precedent that, we want to be able to prioritize in our community, affordable units and expedite the process because of the need. Those are my only thoughts. But, so now, if I can open up the public hearing. Sorry, I lost my place. It's 8:27. If we can open up the public hearing, do I have any public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Augie Dent, and I'm here representing as the applicant. And I think, first of all, Erica did a great job of explaining. It seems very straightforward. It's like filling in basically the donut hole here, so it makes good sense to me. With now, particularly with the addition of the affordable unit, I think we meet all the city and state requirements to, for approval. So I can answer questions if you would like, but otherwise I don't think there's a lot more to add. With respect, I hear there's discussion about limiting the sale of certain units, of other units in this phase related to this one, and I would like to, I'm trying to think of how to, I understand what you're trying to achieve, and that is to say that you want to ensure that this, that they don't build the other ones and just leave this one undone. Well, I think if I guess I would like to suggest that maybe the restriction could be on the issuance of the permits or the building final. I think that's a better way to go, because I don't know the mechanics of the sale of the affordable unit. And so I think what I can assure you is once the builder starts building and has a house standing, they want to get it sold.
Yeah.
So they're highly motivated to do that. So, but I think to limit the sales on the other unit in the event that there is difficulty getting this one sold, I would ask you not to do that. So if there's a way to say, I'm not sure, that perhaps this one would needs to be no later than of the 6, no later than the 5th one sold, then it would give them some more flexibility, and I think it would achieve what you're trying to do.
Would this low-income property be priced differently from the other similar floor plans in the development? The other 1,400 square foot?
It will be.
Would be less?
Well,
or?
I will say it's a function of the market. The market rate for a similar house, I believe, right now is in excess of $700,000. So.
Would this one be ranging around there?
I would no. I think it's going to be.
It's capped.
If what we just heard, and it's
Roughly.
variable. So roughly, I was talking in rough numbers.
Yeah.
I think the rough maximum would be about 500.
Yeah.
Maximum. And then there's other factors that are involved, as Jamila pointed out, having to do with, if there are other costs such as related to solar, homeowners association, that all reduces the effective price.
Yeah.
So
So it's looking like you might take a loss on this property.
Well, yeah.
If the other ones sell for similar floor plans and the development sell for 700, and this one is capped at around 500, it's a loss.
I think that's roughly accurate. I mean, the same floor plan's going for more than 700, and we just heard that, at this time, this one would be going for about 500, so.
I mean, the only thing to add is that, and they did, I forgot your name, I'm sorry. Erica. Erica had mentioned, technically that's where the negotiation or the incentives exist to offset the loss, so that you can make up that loss.
Yeah, right. It's correct, yeah. So it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a loss or less of a profit. It is going to be probably somewhat of a loss, but that's part of the package.
Yeah. And your concern was that you're not going to sell this affordable unit?
No, my concern is that in restricting its, in requiring it, say, for example, to be the first one sold, it could create problems because you don't know if you're going to have the right buyer at the right time. And I think I understand the motivation, which is you want to ensure that the builders build that unit and sell that unit. And I think you could do that by saying it needs to be.
I mean,
I can assure you, and I can ask Jamila, I don't think we're going to have any issue selling a deed-restricted affordable housing unit because, I mean, you heard the other applicant, we have a list of, 300 people.
I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be an issue, but I wouldn't want to create an artificial barrier in the event that there's, for example, there are qualification. I'm not real deeply familiar with the process, but there is a process, and it's different from the process of just selling a house to a normal buyer, to a non-deed restricted buyer. So it's a little more complicated, it's a little more involved, and so I wouldn't want that process to hold up the rest of what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be prejudiced, to KB Homes, but I do know KB. I wouldn't be asking for this requirement if I didn't feel like you guys could absorb that market. Does that make sense? Like, I know you guys are. I don't know if it's appropriate.
For me personally, the most important is that the house gets built.
Yeah.
That's, the market, I understand, I'm a small business owner, so I understand that the market does what it wants regardless of what we think. So you can't set it's harder to set that expectation. But I mean, ultimately, the priority, and this is just from my experience, I mean, I actually sat on the school board, and I did see these issues when it came down to commitments, that a lot of the times projects would happen, and there would be some form of verbal commitment, or even like prior, saying that there is going to be an affordable component. But when it happens and how it happens and when it gets finalized, I mean, usually affordable is at the back of the line. And that's why I think it's become a little bit more of an issue for current local government.
May I continue?
Sure.
Okay. I've seen what you were talking about. I think that's often in cases where the affordable aspect of the project is sort of left TBD. And it's like, well, we're going to build this, and then we got this parcel over here, and someday. But in this case, it's identified. There's going to be a covenant that requires this to happen. So it's, KB's not going to, they're going to do it. And by the way, as I think was pointed out earlier, once they get going, they don't stop. And so once they get started, it's in their best interest to get it done as quickly as possible. So, anyway.
I appreciate your. I mean, ultimately, I think what Erica, the recommendation she made, I think was fair, because it's less about the selling of it and more about occupancy, right?
So you can sell a house before you even build it, right?
Exactly.
You could be almost done and the homeowner's going to pick their finishes, but you can't grant occupancy if it's unfinished. So that's why I said to allow them to build, they could pull all 6 permits and they can start building away. But if I understand the concern, you don't want them to hit number 5 and they're like, yeah, we're leaving town, we're not going to build it. So to tag it to some sort of requirement, either at number 2 for occupancy or number 3, they could do it number 1 if they want to do it. I think it gives what you want, but you can get occupancy. The builder can go finish all 6 of those and spec out the entirety of the inside, and the homeowner doesn't get to pick their finishes, and get occupancy and then sell them. It can be done that way too. It's not the preferred way because most homeowners buying a new home want to pick their own finishes, right? But they could spec out the affordable unit if that's what they chose to do.
I mean, you could, I guess in that sense, say occupancy and/or build.
But what I would say is we're tagging it to Everglen 2, not for the rest of Everglen. So it's
Correct.
just for this project.
For this
So
specific
Everglen
project.
1 moves on its merry little way.
May I?
Well, that's the only item that's before us is these
Yeah.
6.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I would like to ask is just if we could make it if it's the BMR unit it receives its occupancy no later than the 5th among these 6, such that if, for example, if KB were to go ahead and finish 4 units, they couldn't get any more until that one was ready to be. And by the way, and to be clear, we're talking about the building final, which is a function of just completing the home and not occupancy, which means someone moving in.
Could it be maybe the occupancy permits cannot be issued until lot 1 or
It's finished.
it's finished or something like that along those
Well,
lines?
I think that's
Or
what I'm
you-
getting at, is that they could achieve occupancy in 4 units of these 6, and, but then not receive any more until there was an occupancy issued for lot number 1.
Mhm.
So no later than the 5th occupancy would be lot number 1.
Or it can't be last for occupancy.
Couldn't be the last one.
Second to last.
Yeah, could be second to last. And I think that provides the city with the kind of comfort you're looking for, in as much as they're not going to leave 2 houses.
So KB at High Grove, which is in west of Fairview, that approval has a condition where they could only build so many market rates, and then they had to build so many affordables, and then so many, it was a formula, so KB is used to this. They have to do it right now at Brighton. So they get to build a 6-pack, and then the next 6-pack had to be affordable, and then they could build market rate, and then the next 6-pack after that was affordable, and we had to keep track of it. So no matter what you decide here tonight, staff will keep track of it, and you should include it in a condition of approval. It's just, of the 6, when do you want that affordable unit to be built and occupied? Because I can pull a building permit and you cannot make me build it.
You're just sitting on it till you decide to build.
Till it expires, or?
My biggest interest is to see the first built.
I agree.
Whatever incentive to drive that would be.
Well, I
the
think what I
motivator.
proposed is consistent with what Erica just said, that if lot 1 were to be no later than the 5th occupancy, then the incentive would be there to get it done with the rest of the homes, because otherwise they're going to be sitting on 2 houses that they can't sell. And they're not going to do that.
What is the
I'm
will
sorry,
of the commission?
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
Basically, he's saying
Sorry.
he's going to build the 4, and then they can't touch the 5th until the first, the
It's-
moderate
So-
income one.
Sorry,
gets
it's not
built.
building, they could pull all 6 at once. They could pull all, so when you pull a building permit, you can start building, if it gets approved. When you have your building permit, and let's
Yeah.
say they come in and they apply for their plot plan for all 6 all 6 lots.
Okay.
That's their approval to proceed with construction. That does not mean that the house gets finished. So that is their approval to proceed. Now, in most cases, it behooves them to keep proceeding, because if you frame out a house and you don't call for inspections within, I think it's 180 days, and you lose your permit and you start all over, you are going to lose money. That is not a great idea. So
The
most
formula is-
builders will
yeah.
keep moving. But I think what we were talking about before is, you can pull all 6, you could pull 3, you could pull however many you want to pull at once. But our only way then to track it would be occupancy, which is the same as, it's final inspection occupancy. So once that's granted, where do you want, and however you want to do it, how do you want to require that lot to be constructed in what pattern? I would not say pull building permits because of the way that KB is already in there and they do it in such a manner, and they may want to pull all 6 at once, or they may want to pull 2 or 3, but just because they pull it and they start building, at some point they need to start building lot 1, right? So it's however you want to word it and what makes you feel most comfortable as to get them to build the unit as part of Everglade.
How about no more than 2 occupancy certificates or permits going to be issued until that one is sold? So it can't be the third one. It can't be.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Second one, yeah.
Like it could be at most the third one sold, and only 2 others can be.
I think sold isn't fair either, because the developer could sell it sight unseen, right?
Occupancy.
So I wouldn't want to limit someone getting their dream home.
Yeah.
But it would be occupancy, because at least they could build, and they could pull 6 and, 2 aren't selling or whatever the case may be, and then they go forward with this one. But it gives KB more wiggle room, or more flexibility if they can pull permits in the manner in which they want to do it, but then it ties them to, we don't want this one to be the last one, which then means there's nothing.
But it must be one of the first 3 occupied. How about like
Yeah, so it sounds like what the agreement is to build out 3, and the selling of the home and the occupancy of those homes, but then to proceed into the next. Gives you an opportunity for basically 50% of your revenue to be generated, but then expedite the lot 1 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. So can I comment?
Sure.
now? Okay. So I think we're pretty much in agreement in that there's no limitation on issuance of permits, but as with respect to occupancy, that there's going to be, that lot 1 is going to have to receive its occupancy, and it was suggested by the 3rd, I would like to say maybe by the 4th, and I was, if we could make it that, if we could make it, so there could be 3 occupancies other than lot 1, and at that point, no more occupancies until lot 1 is receives a final inspection is really the right way to say it.
After 50% of your homes built,
Yeah.
basically.
So it would have to be the 4th or sooner.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're in agreement. Erica, if you mind maybe giving us the recommendation
So
language.
if the,
Yeah, I will.
so the public comment was open, but it needs to be closed.
Yeah, it was open actually.
He did open it, he opened it at 8:27, but it,
Yeah.
yes, and then closed. And then the motion can be made.
If there's any more speakers, if you could come up to the mic, otherwise online, if there's any speakers.
We have no additional speakers in chambers and none online.
Okay, thank you. Erica, if you can give us the recommended language.
So the recommended language would be adding condition of approval 105, which would state that prior to receiving now I gotta think about it. Lot 1 shall receive occupancy no later than the 4th lot of Everglen Phase 2 development.
Sounds right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, we're, close the public hearing, yeah. 8:43, we close the public hearing. Bringing it back to the commission, so based off of that recommendation, can I get a motion?
I'm going to adopt the staff's no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, staff's recommended
Yeah,
language.
I think you would make your motion adopting the density bonus and the tentative map with the addition of condition of approval number 105 as stated by staff.
Correct.
Motion to adopt item 5.5, to adopt a resolution approving TMAP and DB with the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution and the language stated by the staff for the conditions on issuance of occupancy.
Sounds right.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. Thank you so much. Thank you, Erica. On to item 6.1, I believe this is, review of proposed Phase 3 zoning ordinance amendment language of City of Hollister zoning ordinance. May we have the staff report?
So this is part of our comprehensive overhaul of the zoning ordinance. We have proposed it in 4 phases. Phase 1, which was completed, done. It was edits to make the zoning ordinance compliant with state law. Phase 2 was the amendments to the use matrix and the definitions, as well as some additional amendments related to state law, and you recently recommended approval to City Council, and that is scheduled for City Council for public hearing on October 6th. With that, Phase 2 will be complete. However, Phase 1 continues on as the state continues to make, oops.
Oh, that's right.
Do we
We
need it?
have
It's
to
just a
wait for
study
Julio
session.
to come back from the restroom.
Oh, wait.
I think we should, so that we're off the record. Yeah, I'll call a 2-minute recess. Hopefully that's all it takes. 7. So Erica was giving her presentation. If you can follow, please.
Phase 1 will continue on. We still need to look at accessory dwelling units, and state law continues to change things, so that will be an ongoing. We will amend the zoning ordinance as required by the state. Phase 3 is the current phase that we are in, and there will be several study sessions on this. Tonight is just one of a few. But Phase 3 is the revision of the permitting requirements in existing Chapter 17.24. And eventually, Chapter 17.24 will be repealed and replaced with all of the new chapters that we are going to be discussing throughout Phase 3. And then Phase 4, which is the largest phase, will be the rest of the zoning ordinance. So tonight, we have several chapters that staff has drafted. There's title, purpose, and authority and procedures, appeals, general plan amendments, and specific plans. For Chapter 17.74, permit procedures, no significant changes are proposed. Staff did take the existing permit procedures and made some minor amendments related to clarity, being consistent with, let's say, current practices, explaining some things where staff has had questions or there has been some ambiguity. So it's really a cleanup of this existing section within the zoning ordinance, and now it becomes its own chapter, so it's easy to find within the zoning ordinance. Right now, they're all tucked together within one chapter. We're taking that existing chapter and creating a number of chapters so that when I look at a table of contents, I can easily, if I want to know what the permit procedures are, I can easily find it. I don't have to go digging.
And this will be online too.
Yes, so once everything is codified, once it's approved by the city council, it does take a while, but eventually our online zoning ordinance does become up to date. Staff has created a website where we show all, we're providing information on the dates that we have provided, or the dates where we're reviewing these things, links to staff reports. And then my intent would be, because especially with these larger changes, it does take a while before they show in the online version, that we can then have the new chapters there so people can easily find them if they don't want to call staff and ask questions or whatever the case may be, so that it's available as a tool for everyone. And feel free to interrupt me throughout. You don't have to wait till the end. For new chapter 17.78 appeals, staff is proposing a significant change in this chapter. Currently, our code has 2 different timelines for appeals. There is a 10-day appeal for tentative maps, because that's consistent with the Subdivision Map Act. But then for all other projects, it's 14 days. And so because there are 2 different timelines, that has led to some confusion with applicants of a tentative map who think they get 14 days. And it has led to a problem. We are recommending that appeal period go down to 10 days. That would do 2 things. One, it's one appeal period deadline for all projects, so nobody has to think about which one applies to them. 2, most cities are at 10 days. The ones that I looked at are all at 10, just for consistency. And 3, when there's a 14-day appeal period for a project, that can lead to a lot of uncertainty for an applicant. 14 days is 2 weeks, it's a long time. If I am the billiard or the pool hall that we looked at recently, and I'm waiting for 14 days before I can file my building permit, those 4 days can be a significant lag time. And if someone waits until the 14th day, that's 2 weeks, that can be hard for an applicant. So there's something to consider there too.
So can you clarify really quick, Erica? You're saying other projects?
So tentative maps are 10 days, but then conditional use permits, site and architectural review.
So like business projects would be the
Yeah.
10-day possibly?
So we're recommending 10 just for consistency. I think
Oh.
it'll eliminate a lot of confusion for a lot of people
And
too.
you're saying that 14 days is too long? Most people don't want it to be 14 days?
I would say an applicant would probably want it 0 days, but that's not fair. So.
Because
I-
it comes back to you and you review it and then you give them a chance to appeal.
So let's say the school, for example, tonight. The way the code reads right now is someone has 14 days to file an appeal. So if on the 14th day, someone files an appeal before 5 o'clock, that means the item gets scheduled before the city council, and that requires some lead time for appeals because those staff reports tend to be more intensive, and then again, they have to be noticed. So, and then there has to be an available city council meeting. So you're probably looking at 30 days plus between an appeal being filed and it going to council.
So 10 days would put you in a better position to go before the council.
10 days significantly reduces that window, number one. Number two, it makes it consistent so that there is one appeal period for all projects. Number three, I think it gives a little bit more certainty to applicants where there is a defined window without confusion on when a project can be appealed. And that is, most cities are 10 days. There's no legal requirement for the 14 days.
Can you explain, like, what is the lead up to the 10-day or 14-day appeal? Like, what triggers that or could trigger that appeal?
So any person that is dissatisfied with, or if it's a community development director decision, any person that is dissatisfied with the decision. So like tonight with Everglen 2, if the applicant was dissatisfied with you adding condition of approval 105, he can file an appeal, it goes to city council. If a neighbor is upset, so let's say Eden, if a neighbor was upset about your approval of the modifications to the exterior of the building for Eden Housing, anyone can file an appeal. There's no limit on who can file an appeal.
Got it. Okay. And the appeal basically means it bypasses us and then goes to the council.
It means whatever, because there's different levels. So anything that's approved at staff level can also be appealed. So if the community development director approved a project under an administrative permit review, that would be appealed to you. If that person didn't like your decision, they could then appeal it to the city council.
So who's getting less time, the applicant or the staff? I'm just trying to clarify.
So, well, it's whoever wants to file the appeal. So the applicant or let's say interested party. But it is important to note that most cities are at 10 days.
10 business days, so Monday, no,
No, it's 10 calendar days, but if for some reason the appeal falls on a weekend or holiday, it bumps to the next business day. So the appeal period cannot expire on a day in which the city is not in operation or open for business, because they have to have that right to come in and appeal.
got it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Oop, sorry.
No.
Okay. For chapter 17.80, that's general plan amendments. The only thing that staff is significantly recommending in this section is to have a deadline for formal application of general plan amendments. So if a person wants to amend, and if an applicant wants to amend the general plan, first they need to go to the city council and get an authorization to initiate. So they go before the council, they ask for an authorization, the city council says, if they say yes, let's say, they have to then come in and formally apply. But we have some people that get the initiation and never apply, so the initiation technically stands forever. And we don't want to do that. That's giving them too much time, and things rapidly change in every city. And so what we're recommending is that they have 6 months, which is enough time, to formally apply for that general plan amendment. If they don't do so within that time, they would have to start the initiation process again. But that gives us a sunset on all those initiation requests and provides a path for making sure that, we don't wait years and then start it up. Because a council approving something 3 years ago, if the council changes over, it's not fair to the new council.
Yeah. And this would be duly noticed to the applicant?
Yeah, so it would be, if this gets approved, that would be in the code, they would be noticed or notified of it, and it would be part of the staff report. We'd let everyone know that they have 6 months.
So can you define like a general plan amendment from the public standpoint? Just because I know that, like, the general plan technically is like cemented for the council, right? Because they amend it it's not a constant process.
Oh, okay, so any general plan, and this goes for any city, is your guiding document for 20 years.
Right.
And within that guiding document, you have goals and policies, and you have a land use map. What most people, when they apply, most let's say, city planning commission, city council staff, when most applicants are requesting an amendment, they're requesting one of two things, typically. One, they do not like the land use for their property and they would like to change it. Or two, they would like to annex into the city, and so as part of that annexation, the city limit is moving and their parcel becomes in the city. There's a third, very rare, which is if someone did not like a policy or goal within the general plan. I have personally never seen one of those, but that could happen. So an applicant is typically amending the land use element of the general plan. They could, in theory, wish to amend other elements of a general plan. Maybe if they didn't like a portion of the general plan, the circulation map, they wanted, I don't know, a road moved, that would be another one. But it's typically something that pertains to a project that they want to do on their parcel. So they would ask the city council, are you okay with me moving forward with this project that I have in mind?
Which would require a zoning amendment or something.
So in most cases, yes, you are looking at for our larger projects, you are looking at a general plan amendment, a zoning ordinance amendment, and then depending on how far along they wanted to go, there could be a tentative map and a site and architectural review. It just really depends the level of what project that they would be requesting. In the state of California, you may only amend a general plan element 4 times per year.
Oh.
So if we started receiving a number of inquiries per year, we would start combining them together. But in general, for each element, it's 4 times a year. For general plan amendments, it would come before you make a recommendation, and the city council is the final action on the project.
Thank you for that clarification.
Specific plans is another tool that cities can use to define what can be conducted within a specific area. So a specific plan guides the particular development of an area of land over a period of years. Specific plans are a tool rooted in state law, and so there are required contents within a general plan, such as infrastructure requirements, what are the development standards, if there's any architectural standards, that's up to them. But most of what the contents of a specific plan must include come from state law. And within this new chapter, we've listed it out so that it's easy there for someone to find, as well as what are our application requirements. We only have one specific plan in this city. We have the west of Fairview, which I believe is our only specific plan. So we only have one right now. It's not a common tool here, but with larger annexations, larger land annexations, it's a good tool to define how that larger parcel will grow and develop over time, how infrastructure is planned, how roads are planned, and it's a further planning tool where that land gets built out over a number of years and there's a set plan in mind.
So can you give an example of a specific plan?
So here we only have west of Fairview specific plan, and that specific plan laid out what are the land uses within west of Fairview, which is largely single family, but it did require the affordable housing component. And then it included requirements for road layout, design of buildings, landscaping, and other treatments. So it anticipated that west of Fairview, over the years, and this has been a project that has been going on for a long time, it's guiding how the look and feel of that development is supposed to be as it progresses and as each developer comes in and builds a parcel. Another example I can give you is downtowns usually have a downtown-specific plan. Those specific plans are used to guide intensification of uses typically, where you want to build more housing. So how do we do that? How do we make it work within this framework of a downtown? It'll include design guidelines. It could include different parking requirements. It could include a more specific set of uses, and it's to guide, whatever the plan is for the downtown over a number of years. I don't know if you're familiar with Dublin, but Dublin was very small and has marched towards Livermore, and the entirety of the eastern portion of Dublin is built under a specific plan. So that specific plan, because it was such a large area and was going to be built by many different builders, that specific plan included the framework for roads, the framework for financing, the framework for developers who come in later having to pay back for improvements that had to be installed first. What is the land use layout? It went specific to this parcel gets this specific amount of uses, that parcel gets that specific amount of uses. And then within that, you can do an environmental impact report that serves as the guiding document for all of the projects within the area, and then each project would have their own specific CEQA review.
So is it like a mini general plan?
It's like a mini general, Dublin's is like a mini general plan for the eastern portion of Dublin. That's a very large specific plan. You do see that in growing cities where you anticipate you're going to annex a large area. The general plan isn't going to be to the specific level that a specific plan where you're looking into financing and how's the infrastructure getting there and what improvements need to be made, where you're really thinking of over the next 40 years, how do we see this build out occur? You can also do it very smaller, where you have smaller parcels and you want to have multiple property owners, or you want to figure out cost sharing or financing or whatever the case may be. You do that as part of the specific
Would
plan.
like a sports complex be like a specific plan?
I would think that just a sports complex, now I don't know the size of
Like
it.
everything within the,
So I would,
there's usually retail shopping, there's all these different build outs that.
so
really-
like Oakland,
Like
for
San
Oakland,
Francisco
I would
Giants
say they're
Stadium.
probably gonna go with a specific plan or a very focused plan development.
Can I also give us some context? Like Strata Verde was a specific plan. That's another example.
Oh, okay. So it's making more sense. Thank you.
Specific plans help when there's more than one property owner,
Yeah.
because they help ensure that the first one in doesn't pay the infrastructure for everyone, and it guides development over years, because you're anticipating that there will be different developers, and you want some cohesiveness to your overall building of the area. Whereas a general plan is a very brief, or a big picture, the specific plan further refines it for an area.
And it's enforceable, right? Whatever's in the specific.
Whatever's in the specific plan is enforceable. Typically, after a project gets developed, the specific plan, like a downtown, is used for their development standards, or it might cap out residential units. They have floating units within the downtown, and so you keep track of the number of units that are built, and once they hit a threshold, they're done, or it could trigger something else. But even after everything is built, there are certain things that come into play. It might allow for a variety of uses that wouldn't ordinarily be allowed in a zoning ordinance, because the zoning ordinance is very specific. So it could do any of those things.
I think the downtown's a good example, because, they have mixed-use properties, right? Rental properties upstairs and business properties downstairs. So, there's a lot more detail. Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. I thought there was more. So if there are any recommended changes that you have, I will incorporate them into the final draft, let's say. But if you have none, I won't make any changes, but we're going to continue rolling out chapters as we can. We would like to get phase 3 completed as soon as possible, because we'd like cleaner permit requirements for the city. But as we keep presenting them to you, the final would be all of them together during a public hearing. You would then make a recommendation to City Council. City Council would then make a decision on the zoning ordinance amendments.
I know, we had talked to Ava Kelly, I think she was the planning director. She, some of the thoughts were is to talk about the actual permitting process. I mean, as me personally, as one individual commissioner, I would like to understand a little bit better the permitting process. And she did, thankfully, she sent me some information, but some of it's legalese, right? There's a little bit complexity. I just want to know is a little bit more transparently, like how these things go through the process, the length of the process, and even like the denial process. Like, as I know that we have the appeal process, but you know, I think to a certain extent, at least for me, to understand a little bit of what is the interpretation to the applicant and the process and why things happen. And maybe there could be recommendations from those conversations.
Yeah, I think Eva was planning on bringing a discussion of how a project makes its way through the city. I will say that with 17.74, the existing zoning ordinance is very confusing. So 17.74 hopefully is much more clean in how it outlines what are the permit procedures. Now, of course, that's in a zoning ordinance. It is legal language, so it's not the easiest. The city does have some informational handouts and flow charts on our website that's available for everyone, including the public, if they ever would like to look at those. Those are very helpful. And then, of course, staff is always here. But yes, I think Eva has that on her list of things.
Yeah, I mean, and one other comment. I know it's funny because when I remember trying to basically understand the opening up of my shop, like there's a lot of broad definitions when it comes to the code. So it's almost like up to interpretation, and that's where the division, I believe, is, because there's confusion. Like, you didn't really explain this to me, and sometimes, you know, with all due respect, I mean, there's individuals that speak in very technical terms, and it's not a general, you know, it's like a whole different language to the public. So maybe things that help clean that process up to clarify, and that way the expectation is set pretty clearly on the front end of the process. So that ultimately it goes smoother, right, to try to create more consistency.
For sure. I will say our ultimate goal of at least phase 3, and then the rest, obviously all the zoning ordinance that we're making, but our ultimate goal is to make it much easier for the public to understand what the process is, much easier for the public to understand what the rules are, and much more clarity and removing some of the ambiguities that we have right now, because you don't want me to interpret it differently than you're going to interpret it, different than Amber's going to interpret it, different than another planner's going to interpret it. It should be straightforward across the board, so that removes stress for people. And also, if they don't want to talk to us, they don't have to. If they just want to open up our code, it should be easy to read and easy to understand, so they can get the information that they need if they don't like to talk to people. So that is our ultimate goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would like to hear from staff just like what are bottlenecks within just the process.
Yeah.
Because I understand simplifying the language, making it more, you know, easy to digest, but what about like in the process itself? Is there any opportunity to streamline for yourselves or for applicants? Because what we saw tonight, like some of this could have been a discussion, but you know, it required all this. So it's just, I'm wondering if there's opportunities not just to revisit the language, but the process itself.
Yeah, I'll mention it to Eva again, and Amber, I think we did it once before, a long time ago, didn't we, where we talked about the process, so we can probably bring it out again.
Yeah, her intent is to bring it to the October meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in my perfect world, it almost becomes a budgeting document, right? Because anybody who would come with an investment and, you know, ultimately capital, they want to be able to know how that process is clean enough for them to be able to apply it and actually put dollars to it, so they could know what their investment, and ultimately, to a certain extent, I think it would help even expedite the energy that the city of Hollister needs to get investments into our community.
Okay.
Anything else? That was it?
I don't have anything from me, unless you have more.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Erica, for that presentation.
We don't make a motion to,
Yeah, I need to open it up for public comment, right? I'm starting to realize the consistency. These are all public hearings. So yeah, it's 9:10, if I could open up for public comment, either online or in person.
There are no speakers online, and we have no speakers in the chambers.
Okay, bringing it back. Any other further thoughts, Commission? Thank you, Erica, for that presentation. So we, 9/11, we officially closed public comment. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be basically a continuing item, right? So there's no decisions to be made. So all that.
Oh, wait, sorry. We're on 7?
We're on 6.1.
Oh.
7.1, I think.
Well, now we're on 7.1 after
Oh.
closing that one out. Yeah, so now we're on 7.1, Planning Commissioner reports. So we've had a full day, so if we can keep it focused. But yeah, any further thoughts or, possible recommendations for future agenda items?
For the future agenda, I would like you guys to put on kind of an ad hoc committee for kind of a, I don't know what we'd call it, but just something, I think, Peter, I don't know if you'd be interested in that, like a business, something that basically an ad hoc, so we can see what's wrong. Basically, more meetings, if Peter, or if it's just two of us, sounds like Peter and I, whoever it is, or is interested to kind of just, I would really like to start meeting with applicants and things like that, just to hear their feedback of what's going on. Because this wasn't the first time I hear there's, I don't know how to word this, trouble with the process.
Yeah, you're certainly always welcome to meet with the public or any applicant as an individual commissioner, or even in a group of two, because that's less than a quorum, so it wouldn't be a Brown Act violation, as long as you then don't share that information with another commissioner.
No
But
chain.
to form an ad hoc committee is really outside the purview of the planning commission. That's something that the city council could do.
What about hosting like a focus group or something, just with past applicants? Would that be something, the one-time thing, not a huge commitment from the applicants, and you're getting the feedback that you need, and it's in a public setting? Would that be something, an option?
Again, so would it be
Depends on the quorum, right? It would just be inputs, like focus group with guided questions and just asking them about the process, experience, and.
Yeah, I think the same thing that would be similar to the ad hoc committee, or maybe an extension of that would be something that the city council would approve or form.
Okay.
That would be outside the purview of the planning commission.
So something along the lines that you're speaking of is something that occurred shortly after I started with the city, in which the former city manager and myself met with the development community, applicants, those that had processes in progress through the community development department. And we met with them at the Veterans Building in an informal setting to get their feedback and input in regard to what they were experiencing with city services. And that was generated through the city manager's office to create input, and it's led to further refinements in the city's operations, such as the establishment of a permit center, getting staff in the same buildings,
Yes.
looking at our, how we're communicating, when we're communicating it. Another example would be the zoning verification that happens before a business pulls a license, so that they know that the building they're going into has that use, and if it doesn't, what it takes to get into that, so that you're not having that capital outlay before you get into the building. So that's something that's that has been initiated through the city manager's office and could potentially move forward there.
Would you say that collection of information, is that guiding some of these changes that we're seeing and kind of study further on, or?
I don't know that, it's not necessarily impacting like the zoning pieces. It's all very relative because you're considering all the moving parts. I think staff does a very good job of trying to be comprehensive and educated about what other portions, like planners are always interested in what's happening in code enforcement and building, and you need that awareness. But it was helpful for us looking at the overall picture of how somebody gets through a process and where their hurdles were, and what their sticking points were, so that we could look and be attentive to those things. Now, that last session that I'm speaking about was roughly 18 months ago.
Okay.
And that was, what was it called?
It was an invitation to people who had projects, people who had reached out to the city manager's office, people who, we extended it to the consultants that are regularly here presenting, Ann Hall and Alan Andrade were both there, a variety of people. It was opened up to sort of building, the builders community was there, all of those pieces.
Business community?
I mean, they're all businessmen
They're business
in some
owners,
way,
you're
shape, or
right, yeah.
form. I don't, it was basically done within my first month. And so, I recognize some of the faces that have come back and returned, but, it wasn't necessarily identified as I'm a businessman and this is what I'm experiencing. But there was certainly feedback given that this is, it's hard for me to rent this property because there's these conditions, or I've run into this in my rentals because I didn't know I'm in a seismic zone. I didn't know some of these things. And those are serious implications that we deal with in the city all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the simple reality that most individuals that start a business outside of the development community, because I know that's a little bit different mindset, but usually it's people that are willing to take equity out of their house and invest in a business. They have very little knowledge of the planning and development process. They don't understand code, or they don't understand firewalls. They don't understand that, if it's a historic building, what different regulations apply. And they put the money out and all of a sudden they're stuck in that situation because there's all these requirements that they can't meet or they didn't know they needed to meet. So to a certain extent, creating a little bit more efficiency is what I'm hearing. So what was that it was just a general planning commission meeting?
No, it was not a planning, it was a meeting generated by the city manager's office to look at how the operations were impacting those that use the services.
Like a town hall type setting or something?
There was a general invitation, invite those that you work with and know. From contacts, I'd say there was roughly 45 people in attendance.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I mean, I personally learned a lot. I think that that's a really good idea, honestly, but I also think we should probably be a little bit better informed of this process ourselves so that we know basically how to, without trying to create redundancy is my point, right? Understand a little bit of what is the process so that we know maybe there how to make recommendations.
I would give you the chance to present
Yeah.
the process.
And then maybe consider something right after that would be good.
That's fair.
So, any other thoughts? If not, I'm ready to call. 7 point, that's just commission reports. Now we go on to 7.2, planning division reports. Are there any reports from the planning department?
I have nothing to report.
No. All right. Well, thank you so much. If I can ask for an adjournment, it's officially 9:19.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.